Yeah, so Mike, the first thing that I threw out there was the title. Do you have any thoughts that, the title refers to, a lot of people think it's the zombies, but it really refers to the humans. Do you have any feelings about the title and who it refers to?
The title?
The Walking Dead itself.
I think it could be both. Could be either.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely got that kind of double entendre thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I shared it to Facebook, and I shared it to...
But if you don't read the comics, then you'll be confused. You'll think they're talking about the walkers instead of the infected humans, though.
That's right.
Right. Hey, yeah, we can... Yeah, I'm all good. We can talk spoilers, because if you're watching, you don't want it to be spoiled. Edward's got the echo. Yeah, we're going to talk about spoilers, so cover your ears, don't watch. But the only thing is the comics, I didn't read the comics, so... Yeah, I don't know why.
You missed out.
I'm going to read the comics, but I don't... Okay. Let me mute you, Edward. This is not go. Yeah, I'm going to read the comics. I've seen pieces of it, but I'd rather not know anything about the comics and watch the whole series and then read the comics. And maybe what I'll do is I'll slowly start from the beginning once Season 3 starts, so I don't... You know what I'm saying? Like, I like the idea of not knowing what they did in the comics, so everything is a surprise to me, you know?
Yeah, I'm in that camp as well. Like I definitely want to take something away from the comic side of the fence, but I also like, for me at least, the kind of unknown element that is what I'm watching on the series. I'll take what I can from that, retroactively or whatever, similar to what you said, Matt.
The comic and the show are on two different roads, so you wouldn't technically be messing yourself up because they're not following the exact same path. They're going in two different directions.
But there are certain characters that maybe are introduced into the comic books early that he might introduce later, right?
Yeah, like you all seen Michonne at the end of the season finale.
Right. That's the best. That was a lot of people said that was their favorite part. Let me real quick go through. Daniel Fontaine's here from Boston. Everett Nigma, you're from down under, or yeah, okay. And Mike Searle, Ohio, right?
Kansas City. You're close.
I was close. I meant Mike Stinger is Ohio. I was saying my brain. I love you though. Stephen Pell, I don't know where you're from, and you don't have webcams. Do you know where Stephen's from, Tanyatta, or?
I'm from Manila.
Yeah, Manila.
Manila, that's good. And Tanyatta, not sure where you're from.
I'm in California.
California, and Crooklyn's here. I talked to him a little bit yesterday. He was really excited. And he'll pop up soon. Hey, Crooklyn, welcome. Just tell people where you're from.
What's going on? I'm from Boston.
Boston? Oh, two Bostons.
We're side by side. What's up?
Side by side. Yeah, I knew you were in Kansas City, Mike. Now I feel bad about it. My brain is...
Yeah.
I'm a zombie. So, alright, so we're just about to start. If you're watching, thanks for tuning in. This is The Day After Dead. I don't know if you've seen it. We're going to spoil everything, mostly. Not too much for the comics. It was an epic season. And personally, from my taste, the Season 1 and Season 2, I'm a film guy. So, to me, even stuff that's slow, I can deal with. A lot of people have issues with the slowness and looking for Sophia and staying in one place, and I get that. But for me personally, like I don't mind it. So we could start with that, and you could talk about if you guys thought like it was the things were slow in Season 1 and Season 2, or if you felt like it was right on target, or you wanted it to go faster. Because they talked a lot about Season 3 being pretty super fast. So we'll start with anyone that wants to jump in. It's fine. Talk like that. I don't need to call on people.
I don't know.
I personally, I think they went perfectly the way it should have been. I mean, I like the setup that they had. Like, they did the first season, they got everybody up and said it. The second season, we got more into more of the characters, knowing just the interesting conversations between the things, and then the blast with the zombies every so often. But I think it was a good setup. I mean, to me, I enjoyed learning more about each character. It got me more into the story, in my opinion.
Cool. Mike, what are you saying?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I do think some of their episodes have been kind of a little slow or seem sort of like filler episodes.
Well, give me an example of what you thought was a filler episode. Do you have one that comes to mind?
Well,
the whole episode where they like lowered Glenn down into the well and had to deal with the big bloated.
But that was so cool to see
cool.
the well
Yeah,
walker,
cool.
right?
But I mean, it didn't really tie into the story much. It didn't have any significant, overarching impact on the story. And but at the same time, I realized that they can't just go from one dramatic moment to the next all the time, or it would get dull.
And also the thing I think also with that episode was really about Glenn and Glenn it's like Glenn's been the scared guy. He's been the scared kid, right? And he reminds me of Short Round. I know they talked about that people called him Short Round on set or whatever. But Glenn is has to get over. He has to become a man. And I think in the season finale with him and Maggie in the car, he's finally kind of owning that, right? You're going to see that. I think in season 3, he's really becoming more of a man and believing in himself, right?
Mm.
No.
I would say he's definitely coming out of his shell as he, has to deal with the walking hordes walking around. I know that as a reader of quite a lot of the original graphic novel that he does sort of get out there and become more manly over time, and he's really forced to do it, pursuing his relationship with
Maggie. Everybody, right? Everyone's going to become, you're either forced to get tougher, and like Andrea and probably Carl, everyone's going to get tougher, otherwise you're going to die, right?
Carl is more than going to get tough.
Yeah,
He's going to
definitely, that's definitely true.
Yeah, but I think I don't see them skipping ahead in time. That's why I feel like but I feel like The Walking Dead could go for a really long time if Carl's going to eventually be a man on the series, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and just drawing back on the comic book series a little bit. I mean, they're already in 90-some issues.
Right.
Yeah.
94.
I'm at 95.
95? Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it is definitely something that could go for a long time.
Yeah. Adam Corbin tunes in. He said, Season 1 had excellent character development.
Wow.
Thanks for tuning in, Adam. Given the new characters on the farm, the amount of time spent there, this was not really capitalized in the second season, but still love the second season. But they wasted an opportunity to really do character development. And I kind of agree that there were a lot of people, like T-Dog, he was just just hanging out.
Yeah, he was almost like an afterthought.
Yeah, it's and it almost felt like token. It's not, give the guy stuff to do.
Something to do.
He's carrying equipment. I don't know.
He kind of is.
Let me just
I thought that T-Dog only started talking after Dale died. As soon as Dale died, it just seemed like all of a sudden T-Dog came out of nowhere and had a whole bunch of lines that he didn't have during the entire season. And it just wasted a lot of, T-Dog, Patricia, I didn't even miss, when those characters died in the end, I mean, even though it was graphic and, gory, it didn't make any difference to me that they died because I really didn't know who the hell they were, throughout the third season.
I was going to say, I had no connection.
So that's why I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I see T-Dog is just token. He's just there to be there because he's not of any use. He's not going to grow. I don't see him developing as a character at all.
Now, is T-Dog in the comic book?
No.
No, he's
No.
not.
But neither is Daryl.
Well, no, Daryl's not, but Daryl's been, Daryl's been developed.
Yeah, Daryl's a legend.
Daryl's been developed, yeah.
Yeah, but I will say this: there is a character in the comic book that is somewhat similar to
T-Dog-like.
You mean Tyrese?
Tyrese? But Tyrese has a backbone and he has some substance. T-Dog ain't got none.
Now, do you think part of this is because they only have an hour each week and they really need to get that center story with Rick and Rick? Basically, Rick. It's like Rick. I feel like it's Rick.
And I think part of their problem with that is that so far they're 2 seasons in. Last season was only 6 episodes. This season was only 13 episodes. And I think really, if they want to be able to really develop the characters,
they need more episodes.
Yeah, and we were talking about that a little bit. Then, 20-somewhat episodes would be cool, but it could be dangerous too if they have too much filler. And Lost had a little bit of that. So I don't know. And I feel like Fringe is going that path where it's oh my god, it's so it could be detrimental if they have stuff they're not moving along. And the thing about The Walking Dead is they could do so much every episode. Like, there's so much that can happen. Anything
Yeah,
can
but
happen.
I mean, they don't have to have filler. But I mean, hell, give us one season where you get at least each character gets like a more in depth. Like I mean,
Kind of like our own
like I
story.
watch Friends, and I've been waiting for a long time for them to have an asterisk episode, and they finally
they haven't one.
They had it last season, and I was like, oh, thank God, great. I'd love to know the background of that character. She's so much there, and it's the same thing with this show. If they give T-Dog an episode where you find out more about him. I mean, they did it for Glenn. You find out a little bit more about his background and his whole thing with Maggie. They could at least do it for T-Dog, at least one, just so we can find out more about him. I mean, everybody else has got in their little, background. I mean, hell, even the daughter that no one really knows that tried to cut her wrist, she had more screen time than T-Dog did.
Yeah. Although I will say in season 1, T-Dog had screen time. He was used more, right? He was killing. He was talking. He was objecting a little bit more.
A little bit. Yeah. But I see him as zombie chow now. I don't think they're going to develop him.
Why would they? No, they would. Yeah, but they would. I think anyone that's zombie chow, they had their chance to kill him. So.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't take, nobody of, anybody who went in the finale, it was just kind of like, Shane was like the frickin', that was like the pinnacle thing. Well, Dale was a little earlier,
only the episode before, right?
Two before.
2 before?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. But, it's one of those things like that, there wasn't any of the primary core. Again, we had a little backstory on some of these other characters, but I think that anybody that made it through, they're gonna meet more people. I think that's inevitable.
I think we're gonna have anyone that made it through is at least gonna get 1 or 2 episodes before it dies. I would think. And it's interesting. You probably a lot of you watch Talking Dead, which is afterwards, and they mentioned that Herschel, who they were teasing getting killed the whole time, they originally had Randall killing Herschel, and then that's why that's part of the reason why Shane justifies killing Randall, because he killed Herschel. But I think it's cool to see Herschel survive, because you want that. I mean, he's the doc, like they need him. He's the doctor for the baby, although now we think the baby might be born a zombie, right? Which is or something, possibly, like aliens.
But they need, like, you see, these characters need, like she said, like, honestly, I was tweeting before the episode of the show, and I thought that I was putting my bets on who would be the red shirts. The episode, and I thought there was going to be the son, Patricia, T-Dog, what a those are 3 characters I put my money on that I was going to actually bite in a season finale, and I was 2 out of 3, because they just didn't seem like they were putting enough effort into these guys, so. I mean, what I do want to see is, like, I don't want it to be, like, a focus. Like, what it is that sometimes when they do comic book shows, these comic things, the one thing I don't want to see is that they focus on 1 or 2 characters and that's it. They did that with X-Men, and that's why I could not watch those movies.
Yeah, it was all Wolverine, right?
That happened. I mean, there's so many other characters that you could do. Like, I'm hoping when the Avengers come out that they actually give each character...
No, I feel like Iron Man's going to get a little bit more than everybody else, don't you think?
Something.
I feel like Iron Man's going to get more, because that's how I feel, probably, to do. I feel like Iron Man and Captain America, and they'll probably have Thor and Hulk be a little bit on the side, maybe. But we'll see. I'm thinking Samuel L. Jackson should get a lot, because he's probably organized the whole thing. But now we're talking about something else. Walking Dead. What? What happened to Walking Dead?
Perspective.
So, yeah, all right. So much has happened, and there's so many new characters and old characters, and there's a prison, and there's McConey or McCone, how do you say her name? Michonne. I'm sorry. And there's a lot of other characters. The first thing I actually want to talk about is, so Dale died. Dale gets killed, and Rick killed the guys in the bar. Now they were all affected, but none of those guys turned into zombies. So do you have any theory on that, or is that a mess up? Or do you think it has to do with good versus evil? And if you know from the comic book, I don't know if they did that in the comic book, but don't spoil it if you know.
They went back and shot him in the head. That's what Rick said.
Yeah.
In one of the episodes, he says after that they went back and shot all the people in the bar in the head.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Wait.
I know why Dale didn't turn because
he's good.
He got shot in the head.
So is that how it works? So if you get shot in the head, you can't become a zombie? Is that the rule?
You have to have a brain.
Yeah. You have to be a functioning brain in order to become.
Or at least an intact brain, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the rule. Okay. Because I thought.
And they killed Dale before he died.
Right, but don't. That's true.
Yeah, well before actually.
Yeah.
Did he have any of the? They didn't do any of that, like what they did with Shane, right? Like I couldn't remember that one. Shane, the kind of the flashes of the.
Right, because he didn't become a zombie. But this is what I'm confused about.
Well,
so
he would have been. Well, he didn't die. That's
so if you shoot somebody in the head, they die. But does that mean like none of that destroys the entire brain where there's no zombie? Because everyone's dead. That's a zombie.
It's not an intact brain anymore.
No, but look at Jenner. Jenner did it when he was doing the flashback. Remember he had his wife as the subject on the
right.
He basically tagged her, and watched her until she actually died, and then like within a few minutes you can see the reactivating of the brain, and the whole process, and then like a few minutes later you see when he put the bullet through the brain how it stopped the entire process. So it seems that you have to have some type of some brain, and from the zombies that you see, they're not like completely rotted out corpses like a skeleton walking around. They're actually looking like they're human still. So I think you need to have a brain function.
And so is that why? So that's why Rick was shooting. He wasn't shooting the guy multiple times in the bar because he was enjoying it and pissed off. He was doing it to make sure he wasn't coming back. Is that what it was?
Exactly.
Because that's where I was confused. I thought, wow, Rick is really digging into this guy. I wasn't even.
He already knew. Rick already knew
what
Jenner said, and I guess he didn't want to test the theory with these two guys, especially for them coming back, you know what I mean?
Right. Because part of me thought if you were a bastard, a real bastard, you became a zombie and this evil took over. And if you were more like Dale and you weren't a bastard, you didn't get turned. But I guess I was wrong. So.
Yeah. Everybody becomes a zombie.
Everybody, no matter what.
I mean, when Andrea's sister was killed, she became a zombie, and Andrea had to put a bullet in her head.
But she was actually bitten. Yeah.
Yeah, she was actually bitten. And same thing for Jim, they left him to the side. I guess it's like, even though he was bit, he was dying. So I guess that's why he was...
Yeah, but basically the only thing is, so now, when you get bit, you become a zombie, but the idea that when you die, you become a zombie unless you were shot in the head, right? No matter what.
Yeah.
But
I guess it's like I said, unless you but I mean, I get the whole point of people turning, everybody's infected. That made a little bit more sense to me than anything else. Because there was times that all these up close kills, stabbing people in the eye, blood. When Andrea killed the zombie in the bathroom in the RV, and all that blood splattered around her, she should have been infected then. You know what I mean? And the fact that nothing happened with that.
Well, I think that was the biggest issue. In season 1, you watch them really careful not to touch the blood, not to get any of the blood on their hands. And they're really careful. And all of a sudden that goes out the window, and it was probably the producers and writers being like, you know what, we can't do this continuously. It's annoying. And they just said that they're careful, and or that you don't really need.
They're all infected anyway.
Right. Oh, they're all infected.
Doesn't matter.
No, but the difference is there was, I think, didn't they have someone in season 1, at least one person, when they got blood on their arm or something, they became a zombie? Am I wrong thinking that in season 1? At some point, someone got blood on them, and because they had blood on them, they became a zombie. Does anyone remember that?
I don't remember that at all. The only person...
No.
I can't think of anybody.
I thought there was one person that was not bitten, but somehow got, zombie blood on them, and they were infected.
If I remember correctly, the only people that were killed were, it was the sister, Jim, was bitten, and it was the sister that were killed when they attacked the RV. The other family, they left after, they took their own separate path after they went, started to go into the city.
But who was the person? There was one person that had, the chills and the fever. Who was that?
That was Jim. That was when they attacked the RV in the beginning, when they were at night and they were all sitting around the fire, and they attacked Jim, and they left him for dead, left him sitting by the tree.
Was Jim Carroll's husband?
No. He used to run with Dale. He was Dale's friend.
Okay, because I'm trying to remember. Season 1 was so long ago. I don't remember names, but I remember a couple of people had the fever or whatever. But was he? And he was bit.
Yeah, he was victim.
Okay. Just recalling
In
that.
the hand.
In the hand. So what do you guys? How do you compare season 1 to season 2? Did you prefer one over the other? Did you think? Would you? Everybody throw it in. I mean, I like both seasons, so.
Yeah, I mean, they were both good. I thought season 2 was better for character development, and I think that although it started off kind of slow, it really the second half of the season really picked up, and really it certainly ended with a bang.
I think the mid-season and the end of season finales really, set it in for good action-packed television.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, almost movie-like, and good TV is becoming more movie-like, better than movies.
I was so excited at the end when you saw Michonne, when she showed up, and then at the very end when you seen the scene of the prison, I was so excited. I couldn't wait. I've been waiting to talk about it for days.
Awesome. Sorry to keep you waiting. Yeah. So the cool thing is that for those that don't read the comic, and I mean, there's a large chunk that don't, and so the hooded person, you don't know that it's a man or a woman. They cast this woman from Treme, so it's a black woman, which is awesome.
It's not the lady from Treme. It's
it's not?
African lady. Uh-huh.
No, her name is
Dee Dee, right?
No.
No?
We're talking about it earlier on Dick Blue.
I thought they said on Talking Dead it was a woman from Treme, or that she's someone else.
No. I think her name is not the girl from everybody keeps thinking it's the girl from True Blood.
No, Treme.
It's not.
Her name is.
Oh no, it is. Yes, it is the girl from Treme. Yes, you're right. Yeah,
Dee Dee something.
Right.
Oh yeah, it is the girl from the Treme. It's the African girl.
Yeah.
And she fits the part.
And it's awesome. It's awesome to see to see an African American female kick some ass, because T-Dog is like she'll meet T-Dog. She's gonna meet T-Dog and be like, "Do you do anything around here?" It's like, why are you here?
Well, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see them getting.
I really wish not to.
Like, they made a big deal about his arm. Like, everyone else gets really hurt. He his arm they have to chase him back, and they didn't even they made a big deal about his arm getting cut on the car or whatever they cut on, and they ran him all the way back there, and it wasn't even that big a deal, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, it was kind of like a wuss when he got cut. That was pathetic, though.
Yeah, they were like, "You're gonna die."
I have to agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you would have thought I thought he was gonna go. Like, I didn't think he was gonna make it. They were playing that up so oh, he got lockjaw or something. No, I'm being flipped, but it was just wild.
Yeah, I thought he was dead that episode.
Yeah, I totally did.
Right. Well, but at least the end, it all comes back. The whole thing with Sophia, everyone was like, "Oh, Sophia,"
Yeah,
but at least it ties up, and the point. I'll get 1 second. Just the point of Sophia, the idea that it doesn't matter. You can't. Nobody is worth chasing after for the most part. Is what they're going to.
There's a second part of that there's a certain innocence that died when she died, because Carl also turned the corner to where he was dark. I mean, he was pretty much dark a better part of this season.
Darker.
Mm-hmm. And we can all agree, Lori has one job, and that's to watch Carl. What the hell?
Yeah. Well, and Carl was, not to switch gears, but Carl was really used as a vital, plot device in the sense of, he brought the shit upon them a couple times. The walker in the swamp, he gets Dale.
Well, Carl,
he could have just said to Rick, "Yo, Rick," he could have said, "Dad, turn around."
Yo, Rick.
He had a knife. He could have taken Shane out with a knife. Instead, he shoots the gun. The herd freaking goes and starts walking towards the sound of the gun.
Now, do you guys? So are we to believe the herd in Atlanta is the same herd that attacked him on the farm, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that they somehow walk together all this way, because it wasn't close. They don't come all this way. They're in the woods, and all of a sudden, bang, and they turn towards the house, and then you see them breaking the fence eventually. But I don't know.
I think what was most emphasized during the intro was that you learn that they do follow sound, and it becomes a major plot point in I'd say season 3 and the eventual seasons to come.
Yeah. I'm surprised you don't believe in zombie teamwork.
But they're do you guys believe that they're gonna become smarter zombies as we move along?
Yeah.
No, it's just like a herd mentality. They're just trying to find food.
Right.
And they're revealing
move together.
more about zombies that they hadn't revealed.
Honestly, like I said,
Yeah, I think
I just started reading.
smart zombie is an oxymoron.
Right, exactly. So that's why it's like, I don't know.
I think it's more of the Lemmings complex, really. Follow the leader, follow the sound.
There you go. That's
I get that, but do you guys feel like, I mean, really, all zombies, unless they have missing body parts.
Yeah, it's part lemming, but it's not even like, you know, it's just whoever happens to stumble into something, like that one chick that saw the helicopter and was like, and then the rest go, oh shit, she's leaving, we should follow, you know.
But I mean, do you guys feel like sometimes, like, if there's momentum or whatever, like it seemed like the zombies are moving way faster than they normally do. So do you think the zombies have the power to move faster if they're hungry or they see?
No, you know what? I think what they were trying to convey.
I honestly think, like, I mean, it seems like
Wait 1 second.
Yeah, I think they were trying to convey that they've been moving for a long time. Like, they had seen the helicopter go by maybe weeks ago, you know, and they started following it, and they just kept going.
So they're trying to say momentum? There was momentum?
Maybe momentum, but just that once they start moving in a direction, they basically just keep going until something else.
They start moving.
Yeah, there's got to be some stimuli.
Yeah.
But I guess the argument I'm having is, like, we've seen them move slow as molasses, and then we see them go, like in the season finale, I know they're all over, but when they're sneaking up on people, and they know they're sneaking up on people, and then they grab people, so that indicates a little bit of, you think that's just instinct, or?
Well, I don't think, my thing is like this, okay, like, when you see them moving, the first time you saw the herd, they were just moving along, and just like I you just said before, it seems that they just were moving, like Mike said, they're just moving in one direction, and they, until something changes that course, they'll just keep moving in that same direction, you know what I mean? And they were, technically, if that gunshot, as far as I'm concerned, if that gunshot had not gone off, they probably would have walked right past the farm, because they were deep in the forest. You know what I mean? So that's what I was assuming, that as soon as they hear the gunshot, they'll move the other direction. The same thing with the fire. They started moving towards the barn before the house because Rick and his son and Carl were there. You know what I mean? That's what it seems like. And they just go towards what's happening at the moment in time. Or, you know, but I don't think they're faster. I mean, they're giving them, you know, their just due. You know what I mean? They're just going to stand around just like, you know, how the live people do. They meet up with each other, and then they're going to say, oh, you know what? It's better if we stick together. You know, maybe that's the same thing with the zombies. They probably think it's the same thing. And
so the idea, though, there's, because you see it with this new hoodie character. I know they didn't say her name, Michonne. I keep saying it wrong. Michonne. I'll say it wrong forever. So that's what I do wrong. I say things wrong. The idea that she has two zombies with her, and I don't know. I feel like the reason is because the smell keeps other zombies away, and maybe that's probably the reason. But
you are correct, sir.
So yep. So that's, you know, if that's the reason. So do you think that having the zombies in the barn kept the other zombies away?
Wow, I didn't think about that part.
Maybe that's a reason to keep them.
Yeah, there was a concentration. There was like a dozen? I mean, there was enough.
There was enough, yeah. Like, I don't know if the zombies
so I'm not going to spoil it for you. But those zombies are deterrents. The other zombies smell them and they don't notice her. So it's a deterrent. That's all they see is those zombies.
Right. So yeah, I was getting at that, and also the fact that the hood and everything is dark, so you can't really see a human being. I get that. But I was saying, but the idea that these zombies were in the barn, I know they didn't know that, but the idea that do you think that they were safe from zombies because they had all those zombies in the barn? Or do you think that anything to do with it?
Just stinking zombies in that barn.
Yeah, there was at least 10, right?
Oh, there was like 50.
There was a good enough.
I thought it was 20.
Yeah, it was a lot.
No, I don't think any of the survivors have really complained about the smell while they were camping out, you know?
No, that's something too. Like, some of the realities, like, I don't know how, like, Rick has been in that sheriff's outfit, right, the whole time? Or, like, since, like, the hospital or wherever. Like,
it's going to be a low rank.
Maybe the shower I've seen on the show, I mean, maybe they swam in the lake, but Shane had that shower to clean, to get, you know, that, I'm turning into this, like, Rambo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, I just started reading, the show has made me started reading the actual comic, because I didn't read it before. Never heard about it before the show, but now that I've actually read it, I realize that the comic book is way more brutal than the TV show is, because they just like kill characters off left and right.
Definitely.
So like I see that some of these characters don't survive at all. So I'm not I mean a lot of people complained about how these characters are not fleshed out, they're not developed enough. I think they're developed just enough because you get to care about them just enough before somebody kills them. You know what I mean? Why go into this whole rigmarole of putting this whole character, all this emphasis into a character if he's just basically going to get chomped the next episode?
I think more people care about what happened to Merle than they do what happened to, like, a lot of
I still, you know what? Even though Merle was, like, he was there for a little bit,
he was interesting.
They gave you just enough that you'll be like, well, whatever happened to him? Because I know he cut his hand off, but we never knew what happened
and
to
him. I'm like, based on what I've heard, there's 95% chance he is going to be in season 3. He confirmed it
I'm worried about Morgan and his son. What happened to Morgan and his son from the first episode?
Right.
You know what I mean?
They actually do come back eventually as a plot twist.
Okay.
Probably. But I think that there's just so much they could do, and I heard that next season's 16 episodes. They're going to keep increasing, so 16 is good. Adam Corbin, who's watching, wants to talk about the timeline. He said since season 1, he thinks really it's been day to day, and since Rick woke up in the hospital, he thinks it's only been about 3 to 4 weeks real time. Do you guys have any feeling about how long it's been since Rick woke up in the hospital to where they are now in that, like, in the woods on the street?
I think it has to be about 3 or 4 months.
Yeah,
months, not weeks.
I think
No. Is that weeks? No. That's
how many? You think it's been? No. Mike says 1 month. Crooklyn, you say 3 months.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any idea from Rick waking up to how much time has passed?
Didn't they mention in a previous episode, like, it's been
it's a couple
X months?
Months,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah,
it's a couple months.
I don't remember, though, what they said.
I mean,
It was during the dialogue.
Well, didn't Carl spend almost like a week alone in bed? Didn't Carl have to be in bed for at least a week?
Yeah.
And they had to be... They were looking for Sophia for multiple days, so that's almost like another week, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then
Before
Carl
got
was
shot.
on his feet and moving around and getting in trouble. I mean, honestly, I kept most of the show. I kept thinking like, they need to hire a babysitter. I don't know, like a
hire a babysitter.
Carl getting in
Hire a rope.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just chain him to a radiator.
So let me ask you this: do we live? So is this a world? This wherever this Earth is, there's that cell phones and internet does not exist.
I think all the infrastructure's toast.
Yeah.
But no, everything is toast, and honestly.
Yeah, but satellites? How do zombies mess up satellites?
Well, because if everybody's dead, who the hell is sending the signal to the satellite?
Isn't it a machine that's always turned? Oh, you mean you're saying if the power's all off?
Well, it may be a machine, but at some point somebody has to man it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything. Even though they might be automated, sooner or later somebody's going to run into it and.
Let me ask you this: do you guys think at any point during the show we will see a phone ring, or we will see a working television, or anything like that?
Yeah. So,
all right, don't spoil it.
Who knows?
Okay, so this prison seems like now the prison we saw could be a real prison that they use it for prison, or they use it for a lot of things. And I know there's a character called the Governor that's already been cast. That'll be next season. That's a big character. But do you feel like at some point Rick, do you guys, without spoiling from the comic, do you think Rick will always be the central character, or do you think eventually he's going to get pushed aside?
Well, I think I like Rick as a central character, and I like this new darker Rick. I mean, personally, in my opinion, it's about time he says something to shut the hell up and just, if you want me to leave the room, then shut the hell up and let's do it my way. Because you need to have somebody just have a central opinion and just, instead of having all of these Indians, there's too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
But do you some background?
Do you think though it's going to kind of promote, like you even saw it a little bit in the finale of like that? I don't know. I kind of chalked it up to like that Survivor, like where there's going to be people who are like, I mean, it was kind of Andrea and Shane a little bit at points in season 2 where they're kind of like, this guy's just leading us to death, a certain death or whatnot. But with his revelation of what he did and the distrust factor. People have always trusted him. Now there's this great underlying theme of distrust. I think there's going to be a lot more infighting amongst the core, which it wouldn't be too tough to have a stronger, a stronger personality, protagonist, whatever you want to call it, come along and kind of supersede that a little bit. I don't know.
But see, Rick is going to change, drastically change. That's all I can tell you. He's going to get way more tougher than what you've seen him so far. And he's going to be the person that's needed to run that group. And he's going to be a little bit over the top.
Yeah. And I think that's set up. Yeah, I think that's, and like we said, I think everyone's going to have to become tougher. Because now we live in this, I think everyone's starting to get to that point where they're like, we don't live where we used to live anymore. We now live in a place where we can't trust anyone except each other, and we have to go by that.
But can they even do that? You know what I mean?
Can they even trust each other?
Yeah, you know what I mean? How much is it going to take? How much stress is it going to take to just kind of tear away at the fabric of trust? I think it's already been torn.
That's been torn for Rick. For Rick and Carl, it's been torn. Trust me.
Right, and I think part of it was the way Rick went through. They all went through something crazy at the end, and Rick went through something even more crazy. And I think at the end, Rick was just like, you know what? I don't want to sit here and have to think about how I should sugarcoat it. This is what happened. I mean, he could have said, Shane came at me with a gun, and then I defended myself, but he didn't, but that's kind of what happened, right? In a sense.
I mean, Shane, you know what, Rick, I always
Did Shane want to die? Did Shane want him to kill him?
Yeah, I know Shane wanted to kill him, but Shane was just,
No, I'm saying, did Shane want to be killed, though? It seemed like he wanted to kill him, but I don't know. I think maybe Shane wanted to be killed.
So you think
he was very self-destructive? Have to admit,
right?
Yeah.
You think that Shane had malice and tendency?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think Shane was like, you know what? I don't want to, either you or me have to go, and I don't think Shane was like.
Maybe he wanted to die.
He wasn't that committed.
He wanted to die, but he wanted somebody else to do it for him. He didn't want to trigger himself. But Shane, honestly, there's a lot of truth in what Shane said. When Shane sat there and told him, you need to sit your son down and talk to him and tell him about the reality or whatever, I was like, true, that's true. The fact is that Shane was just batshit crazy.
Does Rick always have to bend down to talk to Carl? Can he sit down? Or can he hold him up? Like every single time he's like, you see him bend down and then whoop, zombies, I gotta get up. Like, I gotta bend down.
Yeah, but I mean,
Carl. I think in whatever way he's trying to maintain his childhood.
By bending down?
Well, treating him like a child.
Yeah.
You can't treat him like a child in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
You can when he's always running off.
Like Andrea said, you have the right idea, but you have the worst delivery. That's exactly what it was. If he had came in a different like I want to see Rick develop some of Shane's, all right, this is what's gonna be kind of mentality.
But did anybody feel that way in the bar though? I felt like there was a lot of him. He's like bam, bam, like in the bar. He was very Shane.
That was perfect. That was perfect in the bar. He did exactly what he needed to do in that bar.
Yeah.
And you know what? I would never even think twice about putting the holes in those guys, because as soon as they walked through the door and they started having an attitude, I'd have killed them before they pulled their guns.
Now let's talk about the fact that Rick wanted to save this guy, and then by saving him, they created more of a problem. Why not just put a bullet in? Why not put a bullet in that? Why save him? Go through the trouble of saving him and repairing his leg to go through all that just to have a story?
I think
trying to hold on to the old world values, I'd say.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Moral fabric. Kind of what Dale was talking about, trying to rally the troops to give them a fair chance. It's like
maintain
that whole,
Yeah.
It's the whole if you go to that lowest common denominator, are we really much better than them?
Yeah, but you know what? That world was over. It's done. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly.
It's survival of the fittest. You know what I mean?
And
put a bullet in the head, keep it moving.
And that's what comes through in the finale.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, because the world's changed. They can't really rely on the old world values that they used to know. He's going to have to do things against his moral compass if he actually wants to survive, if he wants anyone to survive.
Daniel.
I mean, morally, Rick would have never met these people ever in his life. They would have never crossed paths Shane would have never screwed Lori. You know what I mean? They would never have this kid. You know, all of that stuff would have happened. The world has gone to pot, and you need to go with the what. You know, you need to go down that path. Let go of the old ways and keep it moving.
I was going to say, Daniel brought up at the beginning, before we started, about The Sopranos, and it's interesting because I felt like, and those, I don't know if you guys watched The Sopranos, but when Rick and Shane took this kid in the car, and they were gonna, it felt very much like when in The Sopranos they killed this kid, tried to kill Christopher, and then they took him, they beat him up, and they gave him like a sugar-free Diet Coke, and it almost felt like Rick and Shane were like mobsters, right? It had that feeling, right?
That was honestly, to me, that whole, like 18 miles out, to me, it was like, you know what, just please, like, this dude, obviously, you should have never saved him. What they should have done is that, you know, his leg was tore up, stop wasting ammo, put a bullet in him, because he was going to try to put a bullet in you, and call it a day and keep it moving. You know what I mean? You have to, like, you got to have to just develop a mentality that you got to do what you got to do to survive. You know what I mean? I know myself, during the zombie apocalypse, I will be tripping people, or maybe some little kids. Oh, no way. Get away. I do what I got to do.
That might be a quote right there.
So if you're in Crooklyn's group in the zombie apocalypse, kids will get killed. So.
Right.
Adam Corbett. Good. Actually, Henry said 3 to 4 months, they said on Talking Dead, since Rick woke up, and Adam Corbett was saying, how did Herschel not know the prison was close to his farm? But honestly, we don't really know how close it was. They take us out up in the sky, and they move us, and it looks like it's close, but it could be one of those tricks. It could be further away, right?
And they drove enough for the whatever that GMC, whatever that old SUV thing, to run out to Red. I have to imagine when they left, it was pretty close to full.
Got like a 50-gallon tank.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Right.
You know, they could be a few hundred miles, you know, from the farm. I just don't know how they didn't have a better presence of mind to be like, yo, we're getting a little low on gas. Maybe we should look for some shelter other than a frickin' bridge.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Go ahead. No, but let's talk about gas for a second. That's kind of funny. You don't see. I don't think we've ever seen them try to find a gas station to fill up. Has that ever happened?
No,
get gas.
They
got gas like once.
They don't eat. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we don't see them. Well, we see them prepare meals in the house.
No, I know.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
You're going to see some gas stations eventually.
Yeah, but the other thing too is like, I mean, I know it's a TV show, but it's like, all right, so the gas machine, the electricity is shut off or it's running. People don't have credit cards anymore, right? Like, how do they get the gas to come out? They got to shoot a hole in it? Like, how do you get the gas to come out of the pump? Like, they're never going to touch that, right?
You siphon it.
Right.
You go in the store because ain't nobody in there, and you just hit the button and pump gas.
All right.
Yeah, and I think that there's probably still parts of the, where
network.
Everything's not computerized, where you still have some mechanical, or, it's not all by wire. But, yeah, I thought that was a little bit of a plot device, though, where, they're out in the middle of nowhere. He's like, oh, hey, we've been on Red for an hour. I'm like, well, where were you an hour ago? Like, an hour ago, were you closer to, like...
Why did you leave that blue truck behind? Did you actually siphon gas out of that blue truck?
So let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about that. So do you think that they wanted to have less vehicles because that's less noise? Or do you think that, or would it have been more beneficial to have more vehicles, more chances to escape more gas if everybody drove like 2 and 2 or 1 and 1? What do you guys think? Do you think that they did it smart, or do you think they should have had more vehicles?
They need more vehicles.
I think the pickup is good because if you needed to, you could have people in the back of it, like, standing freely, if they ran into another thing shooting. I just think it was a little bit more, I don't know. I think I would have taken them all because you can run shit over with it, too.
I would have taken them all and just kept it moving. I mean, personally, I have to be like, they did a good job of the show, but like I said, they did not think about, what they were doing with the
They didn't think about the perimeter. They didn't think about a lot of stuff. And while I'm watching Daryl make weapons, I'm like, why aren't they all sitting there making weapons? Why just Daryl? Don't they need more weapons?
Because Daryl's a good old boy. He's the only one that knows how to do that.
It's serious.
He's a good old boy. I mean, I don't think Carol knows how to do anything but wash clothes and make...
Although I will say, everybody, for some reason, was an expert's shot. I don't think anybody missed a shot once last night.
No. Glenn from sitting out the window.
That one time.
One time.
Remember, there was an episode where they practiced, and that was all they needed.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. Lynn was catching these shots with a shotgun, from a moving
35 miles an hour.
With a shot. I mean, come on, seriously?
Yeah. Well, he's a professional paintballer.
Come on now, Daryl is the man. He can make a Band-Aid out of a squirrel.
Oh man, that's crazy. So I think I guess we just have to accept a lot of stuff that happens on the show, and it is what it is, right?
Well, like any show is going to have some things where you just gotta, if you want to try to plug every single gap, you're going to be able to do it. And part of the mystique and part of enjoying it is kind of like, giving them a little freedom to kind of go, all right, these things happen. They started this. They had no idea that it would become this thing, and it's just like anything, all of a sudden they go, hey, we struck lightning, and they need to start bobbing and weaving and ducking and diving and making it work.
Quite honestly, the first time I heard about the show, I said, there is absolutely no way they're going to get a movie type vibe into a television series.
Oh man, you never watched. There's so many shows that do though.
Yeah, but I didn't think. I said no one's gonna watch a TV show where you're talking about the zombie apocalypse, episode after episode after episode. I did not. I said I'm just gonna watch the first episode and give it a try. And after that first shot of him killing that child in the first opening scene, I was hooked, and I knew that this was.
Did you really have doubts? I knew right. I mean, I feel like AMC, almost every show that AMC has made has been awesome. I didn't really watch Hell on Wheels. I don't know how great that was. And I like the killing, but
I didn't have doubts that AMC could do it. I had doubts about the whole zombie thing.
People like it because, if you think about it, we closer to a zombie apocalypse than anybody else.
What? Yeah. I hope not. I hope I have some time before I have to start running around. Man,
you don't gotta run. Zombies can't run. You can walk briskly.
Although to go to Zombieland, remember he talked about the zombies in Zombieland were way faster. He talked about cardio, right?
Listen,
definitely cardio.
Zombieland.
I know I have my little shiny weapons and my bolt cutters in my closet, so I'm ready to keep it moving.
I got a couple machetes.
Just keep it going.
Yeah, I bought a machete last week.
Remember, double tap.
Now let me ask you this: it seems like some of the zombies seem really strong with claws and grabbing. Are they really that strong? Are they feisty?
They ripped open Dale's stomach.
Yeah, I know, just with claws. I mean,
maybe it's the physicality when they died. I mean, that's probably why there's some slower than others.
Well, they say, little things like your nails, you die and the skin starts to recess a little bit back and your nails get a little bit more exposed. So you figure you get somebody with some sharp nails, enough downward pressure, and just like, animal instinct, for lack of a better word. I thought that was a little much because he just popped open like a Hot Pocket out of a microwave, but,
Well, that was all done. That was done a separate shot, the ripping open and stuff, that close-up insert.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't think they really ripped up the actor, man. I mean, come on.
Oh, no, I know that. I'm just saying, like, it was... Yeah, it was real. It was really... There wasn't chicken breast covered in food dye or anything.
I think it would have been better off if he got bit rather than if he had just had the whole, the whole ripping over the stomach thing. That didn't make any sense to me. That was just overkill.
Because the zombie nails was long beyond control, and he ain't been dead that long and had nails that long.
I guess, but I think that they were making a point with Dale is that Dale was shot in the head, so he didn't come back as a zombie, and they also wanted to show that Daryl could be Rick's like hitman, it seems like Daryl's kind of becoming like Rick's like enforcer, right? Mm-hmm. In a sense, with torturing a Randall and.
Well, something I meant to mention when I was kind of mentioning Carl and that whole thing earlier. One of the things that was kind of, and again, here I am punching holes in everywhere I can, but when they were walking right at the opening, like, I live in the country. Like, I go outside right now, and I'm going to hear, like, crickets because it's unseasonably warm. And I could not get my head around the fact that they couldn't. I mean, they were like 50, 80 yards away from that herd, and sound travels at night when it's a countryside like that. Like, I'm like, dude, they would have turned around. I said to my wife, I go, there's no way that they weren't engaged in this crazy conversation, and it wasn't until, I don't know, it was just like one of those little plot devices that kind of, I was like, They would have heard it. There's no way you don't hear that many people walking.
You know what I think? Maybe their hearing was damaged because when Shane's gun went off, it was really close to Rick. And when Carl fired his gun, it was the first time he ever fired, so maybe it just deafened them for a little bit.
That's a good point. Honestly, I hadn't thought about that. Seriously, I don't know.
Because I thought the same thing, and you should know that there's... Hell, I know when people... I live in the city, and I lived in Brooklyn, New York, so I can hear people...
I think they were upwind from the zombies, and so the sound didn't carry. I don't know.
Do zombies fart and make sounds like that because they eat? Do they shit and fart?
Oh, their BMs must be filthy.
I mean, because I imagine they're eating, and they're...
It's pretty bad when you defecate your own stomach.
Maybe they got used to the smell.
Yeah. I got a lot of big feedback coming from Andre. So, yeah, I was trying to figure out the green screen. For some reason, the on-air sometimes, like, I mean, I've been clicking on everyone. Do you guys see only me's green screen on the live, or... You check, mute yourself.
I don't know. I haven't looked.
All right, either way, whatever. They're hearing the audio.
What I mean?
No, I mentioned zombies are eating. So do you imagine they fart and go to the bathroom if they're eating so much, right? Where does it go? Everyone's like, no one's thinking about that. Rappaport, why are you bringing that up?
Okay, I think it just turns to energy. I don't think it turns to poo or nothing. I think it just turns to energy. They gotta walk around somehow.
Right, I guess, maybe.
Hey, if their brains are working,
zombies don't sleep, right? Zombies never sleep, right? Anyone?
They don't
zombies don't nap.
So it's got to be pure energy.
Zombies don't have sex, I'm guessing, either. All right.
If they do,
no. It would fall off.
You know what? That's one thing I don't want to see. I don't want to know zombies.
I hope not.
I can.
Ooh, I smell Triple X parody, like the Porking Dead.
Oh god. Or just the fucking dead. There you go.
Yeah, I was trying to be a little bit more PG than that.
That's right.
Making a porn joke, I suppose I could have swung for the fences, but that's what you're here for, right?
That's alright, Babe Ruth. That's alright. I got you.
I'm really excited about next season.
Yeah, we're all excited. So let's do. Does everyone's favorite character? You want to talk about favorite character? I mean, Daryl's a big fan favorite. I'll go down the line. Crook, who's your favorite character?
Honestly, I have to say my favorite character. It has to be Daryl.
Daryl is the man.
Yeah, he is.
He can turn a squirrel into a wheel. He can patch you up with it. He can turn it into a weapon.
And I always feel like Daryl has more morals than everybody else, even though they kind of made it like he didn't, right?
Yeah, he took an arrow to his own. He shot himself and then climbed up a mountain. I mean, come on. Yeah. How more tough it is? You're badass. He put himself in a bad predicament. Yeah.
And is it just me, or did it seem like, is that like the place where Carl encountered that zombie that kills Dale? Is that the same place where Daryl kind of like had trouble? It looks like the same location. So. No, it looks similar.
No, that's not the same zombie.
No, not the same zombie. The same like mud area.
Yeah, where they were looking for Sophia.
Yeah, where Carl ran over there, where he saw Merle in his head.
See, that was a taste of Carl. He was still scared, but Carl is not going to be scared next in the third season, I'm telling you.
So, yeah, well, I think everyone's going to be a little scared. I mean, depends. I mean, especially if there's a herd.
I'm scared to death then, but...
Yeah. So do you guys think Lori was mad at Rick for killing Shane because he knew that Shane was leading him out there, or do you think that it was more because she kind of, like, sort of still cared about Shane, or do you think it's because Carl shot Shane as a zombie? All of those three? One of those three?
I think it's all of those three and the fact that he's the one that...
Talking about the whore Lori? Lori riled him up.
Hori? Let's just call her Hori.
Hori.
Although, to be fair, actually, what was weird to me is, do you remember season 1 when they would used to run off and have sex? It seemed like Lori was laughing and really enjoying it. Did she not?
Yes, she did, and that's why I said she's a whore.
Yeah, it's weird, like, oh, I'm enjoying having sex with this guy in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. That's my best friend.
Who can have sex during that. You're worried about living. How can you have sex? She's a whore.
It was everything you said, Matthew. And one other element is that she saw a little piece of that morality of Rick die when Shane died.
But she pushed him to it.
Well, but then, yeah.
No, I agree. She did, but I'm simply saying that it was the Carl taking him down, the airing it all out there, the hey, he's always making it feel like I'm the one that's stealing you back from him. It was that whole tone, and then the fact that he murdered him. I mean, he did. I mean, it was him or them, but at the end of the day, he stuck a knife into his heart. He didn't get into that gory detail, but that's what he did. And
well, he was but it was a little bit of self-defense because he knew he was going to die if he didn't do it.
Yep. But I think that she, as a woman who, in some way, was trying to do the right thing and stick with Rick, and I think her heart was a little bit more with Shane. But
yeah, I kind of got the sense that she was really playing them against each other and really disappointed with the outcome. Like, just for a split second. I'm just wondering if anyone else got that.
Yeah, I got that. And another thing that I felt when it came to Lori was that she basically was not getting any attention that she wanted from Rick. So when Rick turned up comatose in the hospital, for her, that was like a blessing. Oh, great. Now I can have Shane. You know,
now, do you guys think it's possible that they had an affair before?
That's what I was about to say. You know, I give it half a thought that her and Shane was having an affair before Rick was even comatose at that hospital.
So.
And that was her chance to be happy with someone who gave her the attention that Rick did not.
And that would make sense because that would explain why she was so happy because they were already having sex before zombies. You know? Yeah. Maybe. That could be it. I don't know.
The marriage was definitely on the rocks no matter what.
Lori reminds me of the kind of girl that starts a fight in a bar or gets her boyfriend riled up or happens to look at the dude and then later on goes, what? What did I do?
And that would explain why she's never paying attention to Carl. She's like too busy thinking about what she wants, right?
Exactly. She should stay off her back and pay attention to her son. I'm sorry. I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. But
right. And it's really kind of unfair to be like, there's a zombie horde. What? Don't save yourself. Go look for my son who could be anywhere. That was a little bit, you know.
She's up there screaming. She's like, it's my son. I'm not leaving him. I'd have been like, bump that. You either leaving him or I'm out.
You've been leaving him for 2 seasons.
Right. So do you guys think now that we know that everybody's infected because we don't think Lori can't be that, maybe she's 3 or 4 months apart, but do you think that they should abort the baby or it's too late or they won't do that?
I don't think they'll do that.
I don't know how they're going to abort the baby unless.
Well, they have the doctor, the vet there. Maybe that's why
they have a horse kicker in the
season
stomach. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty controversial if they abort the baby, right?
Next season.
Yeah. I don't see, but do you guys think that when the baby's born, the baby could be born as a zombie, or that's not possible?
No, I don't think that's possible. The concept of zombification is that your heart stops beating, you're dead. That gives the zombie virus a chance to overtake your body. The baby is a living organism. It has a heartbeat from a certain point in time onward. So, unless the baby is stillborn, then it cannot be a zombie.
Can you imagine, because of the conditions, if the baby is born, because there's such poor conditions, the baby dies within the first few days or weeks, and they have to put out a baby zombie?
They will. I mean, if the baby dies and the baby is infected with the virus,
who's going to do that?
I'm done.
That's going to be
Daryl.
Can they show that on TV?
No. This is the thing. No, newborn baby zombie ain't nothing. The newborn babies is just a little blob. They got nothing. It's just gonna sit there and go.
Really? You know how you've seen babies zombies?
It has no motor control.
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead.
You just step on it like Kirk.
I seen a baby zombie just the other day.
In my local mall.
It's gonna be like one of Michonne's zombies. The baby's not gonna have any teeth, no nails, nothing that can bite or really scratch anyone. So it won't be able to actually attack you and or infect you.
You know, not for nothing, but I got to be honest with you. This show, no matter what people say about it, no matter how many people say it's horrible or whatever, they don't like it. This show has done for the zombie genre what Twilight, as bad as those movies were, has done for vampires. You know, it's brought it back to the world. Like, I mean, like right after Twilight came out, everybody wanted to do a vampire series. You had the True Blood and the Vampire Diaries. You know what I mean? And now with The Walking Dead, blowing up the way it did because it has blown up. I got people who've never. Every time I watch this show in front of somebody, they're like completely into it. I knew a girl that doesn't watch any kind of show like this before. She watched the first episode and went on iTunes and bought the entire series just to catch up to see the finale. You know what I mean? It's people want this show, so I mean, like
so
the only
what
thing
someone needs to do
just
now, someone needs to do the same thing for like a werewolf show.
Maybe.
You can try that with Teen Wolf. Try that with Teen Wolf.
No, not Teen Wolf. That was way too
but I don't think anyone wants to see an apocalypse of different animals. I mean, it's going to be just a copy of The Walking Dead. Why would they,
Right.
It's kind of like,
The Walking, no pun intended, but The Walking Dead is infectious. I mean, this is something that the plot caught on, people are addicted to it, they like where it leads, it can go in so many different directions. You know, it's a consummate favorite show.
And so do you think now, because they originally killed Herschel, do you think that they'll keep Herschel alive for a while, or do you think that he's toast still?
I want them to keep Herschel alive.
I want them to keep him alive for a bit. I want to learn more about him.
Herschel is
definitely got more going.
Herschel's a badass. He was a badass. Somewhere along the line, because somebody who just stands there in front of a whole...
Now, did we go against the grain? Because he seemed very set, like the captain with his ship. He's like, I'm going down with the farm. Do you feel like that was a little over...
He said, not that I don't like using... I don't like using guns. Not that I never used one before. He's an incredible shot.
Well, they're all incredible shots, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, okay, now...
Even Carl! One shot, boom, bye, see you.
Right, and that gun has some kickback. So someone his age and his size, it should have been more than that. But, I mean, we all...
And don't forget, Carl is like 2 feet. Shane is a tall motherfucker. It's like...
Right. But we're all used to the over-stereotyping of gunplay and gun use inside of movies and shows. You know, for one, that guns are louder. Silencers don't make guns silent. Anyone who's handled a gun before knows that. You know that guns unload much faster. You have to reload way more often. But I think they try to avoid that in the shows because it takes up too much unnecessary time. They want to keep over continuity.
And they want stories to go on, but let's be real. Let's be real. If they found a military base and got a bunch of tanks and artillery and machine guns, wouldn't they be able to just set up a fortress and wipe out herds and stuff?
Well, yes and no. Now, keep in mind, they had to add the new wrinkle in that everyone was already infected because that answers your premise of what you just said. If it was just by a bite or a scratch, yes, the zombie horde would have been wiped out long before they could have overrun anyone. With this new wrinkle, anybody that dies, if you fire a tank shot at several people, let's say you kill half a dozen people, but you only get headshots on 3 of them. Those other are going to rise as zombies are going to rise again.
I'm only talking about people that have already been zombies.
Oh, yeah, well, you're going to have to get headshots on all of them. So, I mean, you can shoot a cannon and blow
Wait, are you saying to me when you kill a zombie and that's not a headshot, they'll come back?
They come back. The headshot is the one thing. Yeah. You'll have arms crawling after you, fingers trying to enter orifices that you just don't want to have happen. It could be that bad. Their hair will probably try to nap up and get you.
And so has every zombie that's been killed from the beginning have been killed in the head?
They've been killed by either headshots. There was one. Did they have a thresher? They had a thresher, right? One zombie was pulverized or something.
Maybe.
I think it's
just
one
the top
may have
half.
happened.
Yeah.
Now, there are exceptions to the rules like that, but then you have. Oh, and if you watch the webisodes, and if you have not watched the webisodes, please do. It gives you background, and they're more scarier than the actual weekly episodes.
How many are there? Is that on AMC.com?
Yes, and the webisodes, I think they made about 13 of them, if I remember correctly. They revolved around the legless torso, the female torso in season 1.
The old lady? Yeah.
Yes, very, very scary. And actually, the old lady, that was just a decay. She was actually a beautiful young woman at one point in time. And I think that gives you more background and more of an emphatic feeling for the zombies that you're seeing walking out there. These walkers were actual people with lives. And that's what the webisodes take you into. And they grab a hold of you with this background and make you more conscientious of the walkers that are attacking these people. The fact that they all have lives, they're all normal people, and they came to become zombies by in some cases, some very gruesome means.
Somebody mentioned that, I don't know where, but and they do, Lost, you get to see the flashbacks, whatever. and this probably would take too much time, but wouldn't it be really crazy if and someone mentioned on Talking Dead, I think, when they die, there's like a little glimpse of like what they actually look like in life. I mean, there's a lot of zombies, but maybe not all of them. But it would be cool here and there to start maybe do that next season. They'll start the show like where they're not in zombie apocalypse, they're in the regular world with like one or two of the zombies, and you get to watch them
like a
for
6 Feet Under-esque style.
Yeah, you get to watch them for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then later in the show you see them. You're like, oh my god, those are the two, and they just get bashed in. Like they're just any old zombies.
I think that would be a good idea, and I think
would be very cool.
To the zombies that have made major impacts on episodes, like when they were driving by and Shane saw that one zombie out in the field walking, they should do background on him. The zombie that was hanging from the tree that Daryl shot, they should do him. You know, they should do background on zombies that have actually had an impact in the show.
Do you think we'll find out eventually who the first ever zombie was, or no? Flashback?
Maybe, but is it really relevant?
No, not about being relevant. Just about,
well,
there's no.
Wait. But
might be.
Let's think about the premise here. Let's think about the premise. Let's do some background. What has happened now is that everyone in the world is carrying this infection. So
but were they carrying it from the beginning?
They had to become carriers. They had to have been airborne at some point in time. Now, I know of no other way, either airborne or in the water supply, that would affect every single human being. And even the water supply would be constrained to only certain bodies of water. So at some point in time, this virus had to become airborne and had to infect everyone in the world and give them the gene or the virus, whatever this thing's going to turn out to be, in order to cause them to turn once they die. So there really is no first zombie unless the zombie went outside and blew up and turned into spores.
And thinking, I said this earlier, but thinking back, season 1 or maybe season 2, is there anybody that died that was not shot in the head, that was a human being, and then did not become back as a zombie? Can you think of anyone that was just killed, regular human being, like just killed for whatever reason? No, you're saying both guys in the bar were shot in the head?
Yeah, if you actually watch the scene again, you'll notice that he walks over to the dead body, especially the larger guy, and just lays one in his head.
But he did that. He hit the other one in the head too. The first, the tough talking.
Yeah. But then also think about it. A lot of what you're seeing, especially when it comes to humanoid killings, a lot of what you're seeing is a kill and go kind of a transition. So they're killing them and they're leaving. You're not really lingering around to see if they zombify or not. So they could have zombified them, we just didn't know it.
That's true.
Right. All right, I gotta go, Matt.
All right, cool. All right, I'll be right back.
All right.
Thanks for joining me, Mike.
Yeah, you bet.
Have a good night, Mike.
Cheers, Mike.
Have a good one.
But yeah, I think what's happening in the background is that they're intentionally doing transitioning scenes. They're intentionally hiding a lot of the killings and the extended scenes from us, so that they can bring it about in seasons 3 and possibly even season 4, depending on how much they choose to release in season 3, and leave it all open to your imagination. Michonne coming on board, for example, I know a lot of people expected that, but this is something that they were working on even back when season 2 was first beginning. They were thinking about taking Michonne and incorporating her in.
But that's, you know what, that's the same thing I said. Like, I really did not think that this was going to actually last this long. Because, I mean, every zombie apocalypse movie that I've ever seen in my lifetime has been like, you have the zombies, you have the survivors, trying to get away from the zombies. Some of them die, and they finally make it off to this area where it's completely safe. That's how every movie is played out. But, I mean, I didn't think it was going to be stretched out. You know, I mean, I've always wanted to know what is, I mean, because to me, I'm not afraid of the zombies. Because you know what zombies are going to do. You know, they're dead. They're going to try to eat you. They're going to chase you. It's pretty predictable. The ones that you have to worry about is the people that used to be your friends or your pals or the, you know, the people who have power now because they have a handgun. And there's some people that, you know, I mean, there's some people who, once they become a supervisor or a boss, they don't know how to handle that power. They become like this tyrant. Imagine doing that with someone and just giving them a handgun. You know, and now, you know, now there's no police to stop them from murdering their neighbor or whatever, or the world falls apart. That's who I'm really worried about, those kinds of people. because they'll just go off the handle and be like, you know what, no one's going to stop me, no one's going to touch me. Why don't I just put a bullet in everybody's head that I like and just take their stuff?
Which is what the subtext of the entire show really is all about, isn't it? It's not so much focused on the zombie genre, it's more of human survival in a world plagued with zombies.
Exactly.
And I know specifically in Kirkman's writings in the comic book that he focuses more on Rick purely because the story is centralized around not only him, but how his life is thrown through the shit over and over, and how everything just gets worse and how he copes with it.
And how he changes. I mean, like, it's really, I mean, like, Shane, it always seemed like, even when they were sitting in the car, he was always seeming like the only thing that kept him from going crazy was the fact that he was a police officer, that he had a job to do, that he was actually dealing with a goal, that he got up in the morning and said, you know what's my goal today? Not go crazy, I'll be a cop. You know what I mean? And once that was taken away from him and he has no responsibilities, no whatsoever, you know, it was Lori and Carl. And then that got taken away from him. He has nothing. So he was like, I might as well go over the deep end. You know what I mean? He just completely just slowly going insane little by little by little. And I love the emphasis of how when he kept, you know, every time you saw him and you saw the breathing, he started breathing and sounding more like a zombie throughout the series. I caught that. Like as he was sitting there doing things, he was breathing heavily like if he was a zombie already. So
but then also, but also keep in mind that zombies don't breathe.
Around me than anything else. You know, who's gonna snap and want to come? You know.
I think
exactly.
You know, just to revisit what Edward had said earlier, the theme revolving around The Walking Dead is the human condition. That's what everybody is addicted to more than anything else in the world. It's the human condition. You have zombies, yes.
It's testing. It's a test, testing people.
Exactly. It's like asking that all-encompassing question. We're all human beings. We're all civil. But we're all human beings. We're civil because of laws. Because there are boundaries that we know we cannot cross, we don't try to cross them. But what happens if you're thrown into a world where you can cross these boundaries? What type of person are you really? You'll find out in that kind of an environment.
But then it becomes a survival of just survival, right?
Right, but
do anything to survive.
But it also asks the question, are you a moral person because of the moral standards of society? Or are you a moral person because you're a moral person?
Right.
Yeah, most people, they're moral. I honestly believe people are moral only because of consequences. That's it. Because then sometimes I get up and I be like, Lord, I'd love to strangle the hell out of this.
Yeah, but then, come on, you really think you'd be okay with just killing someone?
I'm pretty sure if it wasn't for the fact that I would probably do jail time.
What?
And feel guilty afterwards. I would have killed somebody.
Oh, wait, but you just said
I don't know. I'm scared now.
You just said you would feel guilty, so you already gave it away there. If you feel guilty,
right, you see,
then you're a moral person.
That's my guilt and my moral, you know, my inside. But if I didn't have that in place...
But who has the right to take another person's life? I don't know.
I mean, you know what, it's not so much the right.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, turn on the news,
you know,
man.
And that's, like I said, with Shane...
They don't have the right, though. They do it.
Yeah, but there are monsters. Matthew, there are monsters out there.
No, I know.
Right. There are already monsters out there.
And actually, I feel like Herschel Herschel was moral. Herschel said, you know what, I'm trying to keep these zombies alive in a barn and not kill them again, even though they're already dead. You know?
Well, he had faith. He had faith in the fact that this could be overcame.
Right. He
was, you know, in the face of it not... You know, in the face of reality, he in turn became demoralized, but in turn it kind of brought him back around to, like, having a little vigor and a little fight in his spirit. Like, you know, all right.
Daniel, let me ask you this question. What do you think it was that kept him from drinking all those years that he was sober?
His wife, right?
Right. So
I was going to say faith.
I think his wife more than his faith.
I think it was his wife more than his faith. I think that's why he was keeping his family around, because his family was his rock and his salvation, not God. Once his family was killed, he ran right to that barn.
And I must say, that was one of the funnier lines when Herschel doesn't usually make funny lines. He's like, God had a resurrection plan, but I didn't quite think this is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So I guess what I meant in his faith, in a sense, is his faith I guess twofold, but one, faith that it would be able to be over, like they'd be healed. Something would happen. There'd be a vaccine. Like he kept saying, like, we don't know that. They could get better. We could figure this out.
Do you think it's
willingness to have faith that it could happen rather than accepting that it couldn't?
I always thought that I thought Rick and Herschel's personality switched places because Rick became this, like, have some faith, look, we believe, and Herschel used to be that person up until they slaughtered his family in the barn, and then he just became like, whatever Rick says, he deferred to Rick. Whatever Rick decides, I'm going to go with that. That's what it was. Even on his own farm, he said that.
But jumping on this thing, do you think that even though we're told that Jenner thinks everyone's affected, do you think it's possible we're going to meet people that we find out aren't affected, or no?
It's entirely possible.
I like somebody on, I think it was my thread, right before the premiere, said that I guess their son had proposed the notion that the people at the farm were as a result of the bloated walker in the well. They were drinking the well water, and he had been in there, and somehow it transferred. I thought that was interesting until the whole Jenner was right thing came out.
Right, because Randall didn't drink from the well, and he turned into a zombie. But no.
Oh yeah. I didn't. Well, again, it was some comment fodder on my, Thank you for if people are watching.
Yeah, cool. So hey, did you guys Randall turned out to be a threat, I guess, but to me, I guess he was a real threat, and he would have gone back and alerted the whole gang.
Okay, you know what? Let's put this out here right now before we even go down this road. Randall was a threat. Randall needed to die.
But you know what's funny? It's like Randall, the way they portrayed Randall, he was very deadline. It's like he seemed like it's the crying kid, but I'm sure he knew he was going to die. That's why he was upset, right?
Matt, did you see what he did to that young? Did you see what he did to that young girl Walker when they were trying to escape? He beat her. He tortured her. And he sat there and he down-talked.
Randall was very conniving and very twisted. If you notice that every time Randall talked to a different member of the party or a different member of the group, he changed his personality.
He worked the angle.
Like, oh my God, please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. And as soon as he saw Carl, he was like, hey kid, nice hat. He just changed to he was a chameleon, and you know what? I would have left his ass.
Well, that was his survival tactic, because within his own people,
his own group. Yeah, he was with rapists.
Probably need to do that.
And then at the end, when he was about to die, he said, "Oh yeah, my people are 5 miles up the road."
Right.
So can we expect? So do you think we'll expect to meet down the line people that are besides? I know what were the man with his son? They were good, but overall, do you feel like we're gonna meet anyone else that has any kind of group that's like this, or everyone's gonna be crazy?
Well, to be honest with you, I think Randall's group.
Some are crazy, some aren't.
Yeah.
I think Randall's group was a subsection of the mayor's team or the mayor's people, however many people he has.
Mayor of Atlanta?
Governor.
Governor, not mayor. I was getting confused. Yeah, the governor. I think he was a subset of the governor's people, and I think the governor was just sending out a party, and he was a member of that party.
It's interesting. I feel like with the introduction of this new character that saves Andrea, I feel like we're now getting into more of a comic book element, right?
Right.
Oh yeah.
With
two zombies on the lead.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're good. We're definitely.
Now it's full comic book. It's like we did real drama. Now we're gonna do comic book. Action, which
is there any guarantee that I know some people probably know the answer to this, but I'm just throwing it out there as discussion or whatnot. I mean, there's a chance that Andrea and them don't hook up again until. You know what I mean? There's no saying she's gonna connect with Rick and that crew.
No,
she can go back to some separate crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it didn't look like Michonne had any kind of transportation. I think she was walking with those zombies, and Andrea doesn't have any vehicle, so.
This is what I think. I think Andrea and the other group, the whole group, they will meet either at the mid-season finale or the actual finale of season 3, and they're gonna have a moment where it's I think they're gonna see Andrea be this complete ultimate badass, crazy with guns and swords and ninja shit, and I think Andrew's gonna hold a grudge if they didn't come looking for her, and she's also gonna wonder what the hell happened to Shane, and that's gonna be brought up again.
Right.
So. Yeah, I definitely got that from the finale.
And I can tell you now, if Andrea finds out the truth of Shane, it's not going to be pretty.
Right. Maybe.
Well, there's no way she's not going to find out if they reconnect, because everybody knows. Everybody knows the straight poop, you know?
Right. Well, all she really has to do is talk to Glenn, and that'll end it, so...
Yeah.
But do you think... But I feel like at least Daryl and Herschel are still on Rick's side, right?
Daryl and Herschel, right. So Daryl is going to stand beside Rick, just based on the fact that Daryl by nature is Rick's enforcer. Herschel is going to stand by Rick because Herschel has set himself in stone that he's going to support Rick, and that's why he has become the group's conscience.
And do you think that Lori and Carl will keep away from Rick, or that's going to blow over?
I think Lori is going to keep away from Rick. However, Carl is going to, even though he's saddened by Shane's death and the condition that he died, the condition under which he died, I think Carl is going to stand by his father.
Because did you all feel like, at the end there, did you feel a little bit like, maybe it's just survival instinct, but Rick decided at the end, like, you know, oh, maybe we can't wait for Lori, like, that Lori wasn't as big a deal, right?
Right. Well, there's no greater priority than Carl, and I think that's what Herschel was trying to convince Rick of. So you see that sense of priority there, especially as a parent, but I think that's going to develop outward more when they reach the prison.
Okay.
Definitely.
So you all feel like that whole group is going to eventually hit the prison next season?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they zoomed in on it. I mean, they literally fed it to you that next season is going to take place in the prison. And then another thing you'll notice is that they're kind of going along parallel with the comic book, but things are out of order. They go from the prison to the farm.
Right. And I didn't read the comic, but yeah, if you don't have to spoil, you can tell me a little bit. But I'm gonna read the comic like after once I hit season 3, I'll start season 1 maybe or beginning of the comic.
Look, the comic book and the TV show, they're following the same road. It's just that they're taking 2 different paths. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're on the same path. They're going, like, they're both heading to Atlanta. They're just taking 2 different roads to get there.
Well, no, they already went to Atlanta.
So a lot of,
and that's what I'm saying.
So a lot of things that are, I mean, I'm up to like issue 18 right now in the comic book, and a lot of things that have happened so far, I'm like, oh.
And Daryl's not in the comic.
Yeah,
no, he's not in there at all.
Daryl's not in the comic. So.
Merle's in there though, right?
Who?
Merle.
I don't know.
No? Oh, maybe not.
No, Tyrese is in the comics, but he's not on the show.
He's like, someone said he's the T-Dog. He's a tougher T-Dog.
Yeah, he's a tougher T-Dog. He was a former pro athlete. And Michonne, there
might be a Tyrese down the road, though, right?
Yeah,
there might be a Tyrese.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
There's not a Daryl in the. There's not a Daryl. There's not a who else is not in the comic book protection?
And I heard that Andrea and Dale in the comic book have sex.
Yeah, they eventually get together. Yeah. Actually, Dale lasts quite a long time, more than on the show. I guess I could probably give it away, but eventually he...
I'll lose this one more time.
Actually, no, I won't.
Yeah, Tanya. Oh, you don't want to give away how Dale was killed? All right.
No.
What about Shane, though? Do you want to talk about what happened to Shane in the comic book, or no?
I think Shane was meant to die outside Atlanta. Am I right?
Shane never made it to the farm.
Yeah.
He didn't even get that far.
Yeah,
and his death was kind of different, with Carl trying to protect his father and shooting him.
You can't... And Carl was almost going to shoot his father, right? For a while, until Shane rose up. It looked like that Carl was going to kill Rick, didn't it?
Yeah, it kind of did. The gun was raised before...
Before Shane rose up, yeah.
Yeah.
So...
I think he was just confused. I mean,
what about the season finale? That was just camera angles. Look at the season finale in the beginning of the season finale. They changed the camera angle to where you can see Carl and you can actually see Shane. Now, right around the time that Shane animates and starts to move and shake and get up, that's when Carl raises the gun.
Oh, yeah? I'll have to watch the beginning.
Right, yeah. But in a previous camera angle, you don't see that. It's only on Rick and Carl, so you can't see the exact timing of when Carl raises the gun. Time to when Shane rises.
No, I did notice that. Cinematography definitely emphasized it.
So let's talk a little bit about the helicopter. So they see the helicopter, and I know in talking down to Andrea said the helicopter represents hope. What do you guys think of the helicopter?
You said the helicopter symbolizes hope.
That's what the actress that plays Andrea said at Talking Dead. What do you guys think the helicopter is?
Yeah, I have no comment.
Oh, because of the comic. Anyone that doesn't know, so everybody reads the comic here, but me and Daniel, right? You all have read it, or you're in the middle of it, Crooklyn, but.
I'm in the middle of it. I gotten like 18 issues. I bought it digitally and I'm reading it right now.
So Edward, is it Andre or is it Andre? I never know.
Oh, either way, you can call me
Andre.
Andre.
Sure. Andre, the three of you, nice.
Wow.
I want to borrow Edward's collection.
So the three of you, are you guys all caught up on the comic book? You get it every week?
Yeah.
I got volume 2. I need 2, 3, and actually up to volume 5 right now. So I'm trying to read through those right now as between my kids, I'm taking it. But I'm enjoying the comic book a lot more than I'm enjoying the TV show.
You're enjoying it more.
Yeah, because it's so much brutaler. Like just when you get in the comic book, just when you get used to a character, like, oh, that's what that character's name is. Oh my God, they're dead.
Gone.
Yeah, but a comic book is it's easier to kill people in comic books.
They don't even play. Like I'm watching one.
Superman's been dead like 80 million times. Everyone dies and comes back, and so.
They're so much more brutal. Like they don't care about any of the characters in the comic book.
But I would say for a TV show, compared to normal TV shows, this show kills a lot of people more than any other TV show.
Oh
yeah. Now, there's one other. Well, okay, if you include anime, there's an anime called Gamps that does it.
I was talking about network. Regular live action TV. Is there any other show you know of that kills main characters like this show does, like a regular TV show?
No, it's everybody. Everybody can die.
I can't even think like people die.
Babylon 5 have a good lot of deaths in it. Babylon 5, I don't know.
Spartacus.
I mean, people died in The Sopranos. People died. What else?
Yeah, but that's like pay. It's like pay cable. This is like
regular basic cable. Yeah.
Well,
cable. Yeah, they kill a lot of characters in the show, and I'll be honest with you. Like, I enjoy the fact that they kill the characters. Because, I mean,
we've learned that you enjoy killing. Yeah.
Well, no, it's not so much. It is like I don't like the fact that they make you care about the character and then they kill them off is so much more effective to the storyline because when you know the character is going to live no matter what, you kind of get bored. But when you know that the character, like right now at the end of the season finale, I literally sat there and figured, damn, I don't know who's going to survive. You know what I mean? Because the way how they kill off characters left and right. But if I knew, like, the only character I really thought that would actually make it out the season finale was Rick. That's it. Everybody else, I thought it was going to be a four.
No, I knew Laurie and Carl would make it out. There's no way that they would.
I didn't think.
Well, but you can't.
I wasn't sure. I was not sure about Laurie and Carl because those, I wasn't sure about Daryl.
And I thought Glenn and Maggie would make it out because they spent so much time setting that love thing up. They're not going to, like, But
they set up Dale. They set up Dale as the person. Hell, they even set up...
They didn't set up Dale having a relationship with anybody. Well, Andrea, but Andrea almost died at the end of season 1, so...
Exactly. But look, even look at the two guys that they shot in the bar. Who was the actor that played that?
I don't know. He's been on a lot of stuff. Hey, was that bar scene in the comic book, something like that, or no?
I haven't even been that far.
I'm asking, was there a scene where Rick kills guys? Is there a Randall in the comic book?
Who?
Is Randall in the comic book?
Randall?
Don't believe so.
I don't remember Randall.
Yeah, so I feel like there's going to be a lot of characters that he writes in storylines and areas that are not in the comic book. For sure.
I think their first interaction with anyone from that particular town, let's call it Town X, it doesn't really happen until... It doesn't really happen until they get to the prison.
Now, I don't know if this is coming to a spoiler, but, like, once they get to the prison, is it going to be like the farm? Is it going to be the entire season of the prison?
Huh?
Without spoiling too much, will it be like the farm? They spend all the time in the farm, and they spend all the time on the prison. Like, I felt like season 1, they spent the whole time in that little, like, near the lake or whatever, that little area with tents. Then season 2, they spent the beginning.
Is key. They're going to be there for a while.
Oh, that was a great time to drop out. All right. Edward knows the answer. The prison is key. They're going to be there for, like, multiple seasons, or...
Just from guessing, I'd say mid-season at least, before they start to focus in on Town X, where the governor is, because there's going to be massive interaction between both of them.
Yeah, so Edward said there's going to be massive interaction between Town X and prison and all that stuff. So is this all taking place in Georgia, basically?
Huh?
But as far as I know, I mean, as far as I see, like, the whole thing takes place in Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think, I mean, it may move along and go different places, but as far as, I mean, like, it's just taking place in Georgia. Like I said, I love the comic book, and I can't get, as soon as I get off of here, I'm going to go and try to read volume 3 real quick so I can catch up, you know what I mean? But, I don't know what's going to go on. I think it's all going to take place in the Georgia area, just like it's going to get cold and stuff.
I think the way they started the season finale is something I wanted to see them start. I want to see them go to other cities and show which ones have zombies maybe and which ones are deserted, just to show us like New York and D.C. and Paris and other like cities around the world. That'd be cool, right? No, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I don't think they even actually focused on that in the comic book. I mean, even far ahead in the comic book timeline.
They never leave Georgia?
No. Well, no. They move a few states.
I mean, they had the guys come from Philly. The guys from the bar were like up north from Philly, but...
Well, you've got to think whether or not they were actually being legitimate.
Well, they had northeastern accents, unless they were faking them. I don't know.
Well, let's just say Town X isn't a very nice place.
All right. So I guess So this whole zombie, it's 3 to 4 months since Rick woke up. How long was the zombie thing going up before he woke up? Like 1 month, 2 months? Does anyone know that? How long has the whole zombie thing been going on now? 5 months? 6 months? 4? Because what I'm saying is, like, I would guess a lot can get set up quickly, but they went from being just a human race to being all these different elements set up and leaderships. Like, it took all these months for Rick to finally be, okay, I'm the leader. Like, and I mean, he was always the leader, but now he's like, there's no democracy. We have to be like this. Where everyone else kind of like got there a lot quicker, right? It seemed.
I think, like I said, honestly, Rick needed to take that, that stance, because there's too many people asking it. They all want him to do, like, what are you going to do, Rick? What are you doing? But yet when he does do something, they want to question his every freaking move.
So do you guys think the only reason they escaped is because Rick and Carl led them to the barn, and that's why everyone got to escape?
Yeah.
All right.
To me, clearly, that's the only reason that they would have escaped.
Well, yeah, because had they gone to the house, they all would have stormed the house.
Oh,
you know, you had to take him, take him away, take him to some position where, he knew he had the loft. He had a plan taking him there. I mean...
Now, it seemed to me when the zombies were coming, they still all had time to go get their vehicles, right? At some point?
Yeah, that was a little...
That was like, weren't the zombies a lot closer? Like, how did they all get to their vehicles? And then, I don't know, it just seemed, like, some of that seemed a little strange.
Well, earlier in the scene, Rick had said, we're going to park the farm, the vehicles close to the farm, close to the house.
Right.
It's set up, all of this stuff.
Close to the house, but they still seem like they came from a distance, enough to...
Yeah, they all came from a distance, but they did keep them close to the house. But, like, the thing is that if Rick did not set the barn on fire, they would have never gone for the farm. They would have never gone for that. You know what I mean? And I think, honestly, because he set the barn on fire and took out all of those zombies, they had enough time to prepare the house, because they were going straight for the house, but he brought them over. So,
do you think anyone's going to turn into a zombie before they die, before they get bit, and then just turn into a zombie, or that's not possible?
No, I don't think they can turn into a zombie.
Because it's infection, you never know we know how it works, but maybe it'll go...
Mutate.
It'll change. It'll mutate. It'll change.
I mean, like I said, I don't know. I don't think they're gonna change the music. They're not gonna change anything. I mean, I think that they won't change until they die. That's all I think. I don't think there's gonna be any kind of mutation. I hope not. I mean, that would just be weird. I can't even see where they're gonna where they're gonna go with that.
Who else? Let's talk about Carol. So the whole, I don't know, it seems like they're setting up Carol and Daryl Wow, that really rhymed. Trying to have some kind of love, sex, whatever. Is that not happening? That's too gross or weird.
I think we got enough love going around.
I don't know if there is. I mean, the only love that I mean, Glenn and Maggie, but that's how much love. There's not really time at this. It's more like everyone's scared. Like no one's thinking about having sex. I don't think. I think they're too busy. Like, oh my God, we're gonna die.
Hey, if I was Glenn, I'd be thinking about it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you'd be like, I'm gonna die. Might as well die having sex, right?
Some of the relationships actually play quite a massive plot part in what's to come.
Yeah.
They do get to the point where they just try to cling on to anything to keep them human, really. So they're sort of jumping from relationship to relationship, which is more I'd like to see in season 3 because I mean, think about it. A prison is a fairly safe place. You know, it's.
Wow. I guess. Well, when I first saw that, I wasn't sure it was a prison. It looked to me, it almost looks like a fortress, you know, and that's kind of similar. To what it.
I was like, it had like a castle-like element to it.
Because it was so dark when they showed it. Someone mentioned that Herschel must have known about this prison because it wasn't that far. But even if he knew about it, maybe he didn't know what was going on over there, or what do you guys?
Well, it wasn't until his farm fell that he was willing to leave. You know, he thought he was fine. He didn't think he had anything to worry about until that night.
You know what? I honestly think the same situation with the prison is the same thing that happened with Sophia. Everybody kept saying, why didn't they say this, you know, ask about Sophia in the barn? Otis was the only one that knew about that because he was the only one that rounded up people. So Otis dead, nobody answered that question. I think the same thing that happened with the prison is that Herschel probably never mentioned a prison because he never expected to have to leave the farm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so far away that it just, you know, it became a moot point. Why mention the prison if, you know, you're never going to actually get out the farm?
And aside from that, having it be somewhat fortified, if there was additional, you know, groups of survivors, you know, at the farm, they weren't exactly welcoming of new people. Even though the prison's bigger, who's to say the people there are going to be like, oh, sure, come on in.
Well,
take our resources, take our food.
Right, and they were like that. But I think when you're running with a boy that's shot, that's kind of somehow, that seems like it's okay because it's a father and a son. Yep. Like it seemed a little bit just a situation where it was set up. Like the guys.
And Herschel had the skills to remedy that, you know, which was a secondary element at play there. You know, had it been somebody different that didn't have the resources or the knowledge to make Carl better, they might have just been like, screw you.
You know what's
kid's
scary?
Gonna die and get the hell off my property.
It's kind of scary that Shane's been. I think Lori also knows that Shane's the reason why Carl's still alive. You know, Rick is a little bit, but Shane was the one that got that medication and that he needed to live. You know, Shane took care of them. Shane, like, some people, Dale never liked Shane, but I felt like before Rick got there, the little group was mostly okay with Shane leading, right? No? Maybe they weren't. I mean, that Carol's husband was crazy. He was a little nutty.
Well, they had that positive male figure, I guess. You know, willing to enforce whatever's needed to keep them alive.
Yeah. So season 3, it's going to be a lot of different characters, a lot of different. So do you think that? So this, what I'll say one more time, Michonne.
Michonne, yeah.
Michonne, I said it right for once. All right. So Michonne, would it be too much of a spoiler to ask if Michonne is related to either the prison or Town X?
No, she's not.
She's not. She's kind of like her own thing.
Yeah.
All right. And in the comic book, did Michonne and Andrea get together?
I don't believe so. Michonne sort of just appears outside the prison walls, and they think, well, you know, she's got a sword. Let's talk to her and maybe let her in if she's all right.
All right. And so the people at Town X are worse than the people at the prison, or are they about equal?
There are people in the prison. Some of them are, you know.
So are we gonna? Is it gonna be like a Prison Break type thing? Are we gonna wind up like is it gonna feel like Prison Break, like season 3?
I don't think they necessarily want to break out of something that can protect them so well.
I don't mean the idea that they're gonna break out of the prison. I feel like just the idea that like they're all like stuck in this prison, You know, I'm not saying they're locked in jail cells, although I'm sure there are a few people that are locked up because there are probably some crazy humans in there. But
who knows? All right, fellas, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I gotta put my daughter to school.
Cool.
So I'll check you
Dead
out.
for school. Yeah, cool. Thanks for checking in and appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed yourself.
All right, cool.
And there's something weird. All right, later. Yeah, there's something weird with the HOA. It's like I would have to restart it. For some reason, I've been green screening everybody. It just frozen on my face. So I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, very excited for season 3. That's for
David
sure.
Moreno, Adam Corbin's watching. A lot of people watching. Peter McDermott checking in. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of great shows, and for me, I like the Game of Thrones and The Killing are coming back. I'll have that to watch for a while, and hopefully Breaking Bad will eventually be back, and I don't know, that might be a while, and, you know, we'll see. I mean, there's only so much time. What's the biggest surprise for you guys? Like, what was the biggest surprise, Dale dying or Shane dying?
I think for me it was Dale dying because, like I said, in the comic he does have quite an extensive relationship with Andrea. He survives all the prison, and then he eventually moves on. But yeah, I was really surprised. You know, I really thought that at the end they would have just said, all right, you know what, he may not survive, but let's try to do it anyway and actually bring him into the farmhouse, and, you know, but I guess they shot him in the head, and that kind of disappointed me a little.
Oh, I was going to say that Dale, Dale was the moral compass, but I almost feel like even though Herschel's like the lack of faith or whatever, I feel like Herschel's going to kind of symbolize a little bit of Dale.
Yeah, I was going to say earlier that he's going to be kind of like the elder statesman, so to speak, but he also, Herschel seems to be more willing now to just kind of go with the flow, whereas Dale was the one guy who would, if he was the only one on his little island of whatever he felt, he was going to stay there, and he wasn't going to bend or break when it went against what the majority was thinking, kind of thing. And I would, you know, to answer your question, I was more surprised. I didn't think Shane was going to make the season. There was just too many underlying. There was just too much danger there, too much untapped.
Too much headbutting.
Yeah. And Dale, I thought, needed to be there as that sounding board for, you know.
Now, Glenn might also have that a little bit, right?
What's that?
Oh, yeah.
Glenn,
definitely
maybe a piece of Lori, but Glenn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, the whole, it is getting annoying, right, with Carl. It seems like every single episode is, Carl is missing and Carl is doing something he shouldn't do.
Carl can't listen. Carl, and again, he's in the incredibly stressful environment. But
yeah, but Carl is the one person that he's been shot. He almost got taken now by the swamp zombies. Carl's like the luckiest person. Carl, Rick, they're like the luckiest people in the show. It's like Jimmy's just going driving along. He's in an RV, and all of a sudden they break through the RV. You're dead. But Carl is in front of the zombie. Carl has a bullet. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of sucky how that works. But I originally, when Dale died, it was supposed to be not a cow or whatever it was, but it was supposed to be Jimmy that was ripped open. The one that gets killed in the RV. Originally, the script was Dale finds Jimmy dead. So,
yeah.
Not that, that's the thing too, it's why have characters, I always hated that on Lost, there'd be a bunch of people there, they were just there, they were extras, red shirts.
Yeah.
And I hated that, it's why? Why, you don't need them there. It's
like Nikki and Pablo, and they eventually gave them their own episode, yeah.
Not even Nikki and Pablo, in Lost there were a bunch of people just hanging around, they're it's one day they were there, one day they weren't. So, I don't like that idea that and also they talk about Jimmy and Patricia and some of these other people they're more important there. And T-Dog became basically he is still a character, but he became kind of an extra player. And Carol, in a lot of ways, Carol was kind of extra, right? Sophia died, that whole thing, but.
Well, yeah. In the comics, Sophia's still alive, surprisingly, and Carol's fate's still, I guess, undetermined at this point in the series.
Yeah.
But yeah, And you've also got to remember, actually, something I forgot to mention before. You know, everyone's infected, of course. I think it's obvious by now. So you really have to look at, can you trust these people to stay alive? Because what would happen if someone were to die when everyone else was sleeping and they're all in a similar area, you know?
Yeah,
So
like
definitely
from superficial wounds, you know, succumbing to fever,
or
illness,
self-inflicted
virus.
even, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, they're always gonna have people watching too, the standing guard. I love how T-Dog's like standing guard at the end there. Season is like really like watching out. But that's the other thing too. It's like it doesn't need, or they don't even look tired. Like they should be like fucking exhausted, right?
Well,
Are they
yeah,
drinking? We
sleeping
don't see them
intense.
drinking coffee. You don't see them shitting or drinking coffee or anything.
Barely eating, yeah.
I gotta run.
All right. Before you go, Merle supposedly is coming back in season 3, and they made it. They told him he had to lose 20 pounds, so he could be in the prison and a prisoner, or he could have. It's possibly he hasn't eaten in a long time, so that's something to think about. So Merle had to lose 20 pounds.
I have a feeling that he'll be associated somewhat with Town X, but that's just a wild guess.
Yeah, but if he had to lose so much weight, is it just him running around, or do you think someone is not feeding him? So. Interesting thing to think about, and I'm looking forward to it. The fall is a long way away. Probably like beginning of October or September, right? I don't know. So.
Yeah, I'll be counting the days.
Yeah, I can't wait myself.
Thanks for joining us, Dan. And,
well, yeah, thank you for having me. I'm bummed that it is going to be such a you know, like I was saying when it was just you and I, you know, these things, they create so much separation that, you know, the frenzy leading up to it, about, you know, a month, 5 weeks out from when the premiere happens, they'll start doing the marathons and everyone's going to get charged up, but a long way coming, a lot of time between now and then. But appreciate being able to join you guys, and the dialogue conversation was awesome. Thank you, Matthew. Pleasure to meet you, Edward, and I'm going to bounce.
Later. Good night. Be good. Have a good week. Rest of your week, man.
Yeah. Hopefully, maybe we'll catch up in a
and hopefully
less formal.
Hopefully, we'll find. Yeah. Well, even this is not that formal because there's something wrong with the on air, and it's late at night, and I don't even know how I'll post it, but yeah, it wasn't just a chat. I don't know. It was interesting to hang out with new people too that we don't really hang out with because of the show. So that was an interesting kind of hangout.
No, it was good. Very good.
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Cheers, Matthew. Take care.
Cheers, man.
Guess that's it for me as well. But,
you gonna jump out too? Oh yeah, before you jump out. So tell us a little bit. You're big into the comic book. So for those people that don't watch the comic, that don't read the comic, that have only watched the show, what can you say as far as season 1 and season 2 we've seen so far, from beginning to where we are now? Talk about a few of the differences and what's better, what's worse.
Oh, sure.
Maybe?
Well, you know, the main thing would be Shane's death. He was originally meant to die outside, I want to say Atlanta. I have to read back. But
so he was meant to die way earlier.
Way earlier, yeah, before they even left camp and went searching
how
for
did
the
he
farm.
die in the comic book?
I believe he was having a standoff with Rick, and Carl just decided to shoot him because he just suddenly stopped trusting him, just to protect his father.
Okay. So
that's for.
Yeah, I don't know. How long was Shane protecting Carl? I mean, for a couple months, right? 2 months? 1 month?
Probably would have been a couple weeks. Leaning towards a month, yeah. Because I know they were at the camp outside Atlanta for at least a few weeks, and Glenn was making emergency runs into the city to find canned goods.
Mm-hmm. You know what's interesting? What's interesting is that there's I don't know what, and I guess they're, maybe they're afraid too, zombies aren't going to, go into the grocery store and eat stuff, but you never know, what could be infected, or, although if it's all stocked, but, and stuff expires, right? Food expires,
Yeah.
So, it could be expired food to a point, and then you have to start killing animals, but how do you know if the animals are infected, right? And
well, that's the thing, they have no clue.
Right. So, if humans are infected, that means all the animals are infected too, right? No?
I don't think they really cover that much in the book. There's no zombified deers running around or anything, you know. I haven't seen.
Are there? Did we not see a zombie animal, or no? That doesn't exist.
I think it was more struggling for life rather than actually being infected. I'm not too sure. I'll have to go over that again.
Right.
As for other changes, well, like I said, Sophia's still alive in the comic book. Carl is sort of her protector, you know, boyfriend and girlfriend, sort of, you know, I will protect you sort of thing, which kind of makes Carl grow up really fast. He really matures, actually, in the comic book compared to the show at this point. He does a lot of questionable behavior, and it really concerns Rick to the point where he's really overprotective of Carl. And I'm sure we'll see something like that coming in Season 3 and subsequent seasons. At least I'm hoping.
Cool. I'm reading the comments as you talk. There are a lot of great comments. David Moreno says the prison needs to be 2 seasons long. So I don't know.
It could be. It really depends if they wanted to go deeper into the character development. I mean, I know there's an array of characters at the prison. Whether or not they'll actually adapt them word for word from the comic book, but there's a lot of questionable characters mixed with those who still hold their morals dear. That's for sure. I know the helicopter will most probably take place maybe after mid-season, Season 3. I'm guessing maybe if not Season 4 early.
And do you think Walking Dead will go like 8, 9, 10 seasons, or?
Well, the way it's going in the ratings so far, I'd say, you know, if people get past the fact that it's not a zombie slaughterfest, it's more of the human condition in these circumstances, then yeah, I'd say it would go for at least 6+ as a basic estimate. I mean, I would like to see it go longer. I mean, I'll just show you something.
Yeah.
The first 3 books, which I've actually lent to someone, that constitutes the first 2 seasons.
Wow.
So, I mean, what have we got here? I think there's about 5 that I haven't picked up yet from my local comic retailer. But in my hand, I'd say we've probably got about 7, maybe even 8 seasons worth of material to work on.
Yeah. And that's without Kirkman and everybody, just Glenn Mazzaro, like, writing their own stuff and their own ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
Well.
I mean, actually, another point, the CDC arc from the first season, that actually wasn't in the comic books at all.
And is the idea, so is that idea in the comics that everybody's infected or no?
Yeah, it's more fleshed out when they actually get to the prison.
Because in the prison, probably people get killed and then come back, right? A lot quicker and stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
So, So you think Season 3, there's going to be so much death, it's going to be, like, ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to keep growing and growing the amount of death that's happening. So this idea that all the zombies, like, because we saw the zombies kind of migrate together a few different places, you know? So it seems like occasionally you have stranded zombies here and there, but for the most part, they're going to be kind of in herds, right?
Always in herd. Unless they're a straggler who got lost behind or something, but they're in herds, big herds.
Yeah, and the way that they explain it in the comic is that it gets to the point where they're in horrific proportions, almost like a kind of disaster, really. It's like a giant wave of horrific death that just heads in their way and annihilates anything in their path.
A lot of people. Oh, Aaron Wood. Hey, I thought I invited Aaron. He wanted in. Yeah, keep it going. Get him in here. He's an artist. What were we gonna say, Tanyatta?
I was asking what you said.
Oh yeah, no. Aaron Wood wants to join, and I'm reading some of the comments too. Jenny Morales has asked if Merle's gonna come back as a governor or something. I don't know if that's possible.
Not Merle.
Yeah, they cast a new actor for that. David Moreno was saying it can't be exhausted because they were in the farm, 8 slept in shower, but with the stress and that, don't forget, they, I don't know, some of them do, like Glenn always seems like he's clean shaven. Does he can't be shaving every day, can he? You think? Glenn, unless Glenn doesn't grow facial hair, but, I don't know.
His features are kind of boyish, I guess,
Right.
Hey, it's possible.
Yeah.
The governor's an ass.
Yeah.
Nasty.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to see what they portray the governor as, because he's got a lot of questionable activities coming.
That's a character.
So, are we? So some unless they die, someone like Carol, who's really fragile and almost weak, and I don't know who else, and his daughters, maybe not Maggie, but I almost feel like the girl that commits suicide, she's gonna get killed right away, or she's gonna become a badass. They're all gonna become badasses, right? They're gonna have to,
Yeah.
And so, are all those people? Herschel and his farm is in the comics, but are all those people that are related to him? Are they in the comics too?
Yes and no. There are a few. There's actually meant to be a set of twin girls. I'm not entirely sure if... I actually thought they were just hiding in the background, but most of the characters, just have died in the finale. So
in the comic book, is there an Otis, and does he put people in the barn like that?
There is an Otis, but I believe he's...
You're in the barn in the comic.
Yeah. But Sophia's not in the barn. She's still alive, like I said.
Right.
Yeah.
That was more dramatic.
Yeah, that was a little bit much. Just like Shane been dead for a long time in the comic.
Yeah.
Sorry to tell you.
Yeah, no, sorry. I'm glad they kept Shane. Shane was one of the more interesting characters, so, on the TV show. But he was
I guess he was needed for the to be the bad guy in the show to help Rick get his character.
Now, it's, I don't know. It would have been, I guess, because Rick really is still a moral person that he couldn't just leave Shane on the bus to die. Although that would have been a perfect out. Shane got eaten by the zombies, or taken by the zombies. But he just would have, felt bad about it. That was pretty cool when they went to the school. There was a ridiculous amount of zombies, out of nowhere. But I don't know. To me, it's like zombies could be anywhere, but they seem to come out of the schools super fast, didn't they? Like moving at a quick pace. That's
attracted to the sound.
Yeah, but getting back to that, how fast do they move? It seemed like at the schoolyard. I know that Rick and Shane beat the crap out of each other.
Jumping out the window?
Yeah, they're jumping out the window. It's like they're not slowly moving. They're chasing them. So it's just when it's convenient to the story, they're faster. That's what I feel like. And the idea that if their blood gets on you, I guess like you said, it doesn't matter because you're infected. But I could have sworn they made a big deal in season 1 about you can't get the blood on your hands, right? Did they not?
Yeah, they kind of did, but if you were presented with a zombie apocalypse, having seen 28 Days Later and the subsequent movies, wouldn't you assume that it would be in the blood? It's just the kind of thing, genetics, something to do with some sort of viral infection or spreading through saliva or blood. It's just kind of zombie 101 to be expected.
Right. I don't know. Are there any other characters? The father and the son. I don't forget what their names were. We're definitely going to see them again, I think. But it's amazing to think who survives and who doesn't survive.
Who, the black man?
Yeah, the black man and his kid.
Yeah, you'll see him again. The black man.
The black man.
Yeah, you'll see him again.
What are you most looking forward to in season 3? Are you just looking forward to the prison, the governor, the town?
I'm looking forward to everything. Plus, that us at the Circle are starting comic book checks on April 1st.
Oh, cool. Yeah, the walking.
So you know.
So for those of you that don't know, the Walking Dead circle has been big. It's been going around, and you and Henry and Jessica have been involved. Like, right? You want to talk a little about the Walking Dead circle and how that and what's? I know there's a messenger chat. Like,
we do messenger chat, we do hangouts, and since the season's over, we'll still bring you information. But we'll be hosting a comic book chat, and we'll be starting at chapter 1. So everybody will be able to join in if they read the comics or start reading the comics, so they won't be lost. So we'll be discussing how they're going their separate ways and how they have their similarities.
Cool. David was saying he'd be ashamed if they didn't spend 2 seasons in prison because of character development. But again, I don't necessarily think that Kirkman's they're gonna take every character in the comic from the prison. There's just not only an hour. They don't have enough time. Because don't forget, they're gonna unless they say, all right, this episode's only the prison. And then we spend time with Andrea and Michonne. Michonne.
The prison should be at least 2 seasons. I'm sorry.
That's what he's saying, yeah. But they're gonna. So do you think once they get to the prison, they never actually leave the prison to go outside, or
they go outside, and technically that's how they bump into the governor.
Right.
Yeah, they only really venture out when necessary.
And so, is it fair to say that the prison has a ridiculous amount of supplies and ammo and weapons?
A fair amount.
Yeah.
Enough to sustain them for a while. A lot of canned goods, I believe.
Don't forget, Herschel started farming, remember?
Yeah. Herschel is actually really helpful when they do get to the prison.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's a doctor and a farmer, so
yeah,
he has a lot of skills.
But they got lots of canned goods inside the prison, Spam, vegetables, fruit, stuff like that. But they'll be fine.
Yeah, we've seen them eat like once or twice, not a lot. And I think they killed something to roast at the campfire. But it'll be interesting. And I guess I hope it goes for a long time. People seem to love it. People complain mostly about pacing. So. What episodes happened this season or last season, but especially this season, that you were like, oh, I could do without that episode? Anything specifically or pieces? Just looking for Sophia. What about the Daryl Merle thing? Did you think that was necessary? Did you like that where he was spending time? Is that getting to know Daryl?
I love Daryl, so.
Just chops out. No, but like the idea, yeah, it's just technical problems with Tanyatta, but no, I mean the idea of seeing Merle is like, I mean it was to show how badass Daryl is, but
yeah.
Although Daryl goes from being like they set him up as being not full badass, and then it becomes more badass as we go along.
Yeah, he does whatever is needed to keep himself alive.
Is it me, or instead of teaching people how to shoot guns, should you teach people how to shoot arrows so they don't make sounds and they kill people? Like, does that not make more sense?
Again, in season 3, I think we're going to see a lot more of them learning to cope without copious amounts of ammo and actually, working to take down the walkers without, as much sound as possible.
Yeah, that's the best way, because them guns is like a dinner bell for the walkers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so do you think we'll ever get to the point in the show where there's just no more gas?
They're going to what?
I think we're going to get to a point in the show where there's no more ammo and no more gas? Or there's just too much around? Or they could, I don't know. I don't know. Could they not just find a place where they were drilling for oil and push a button to drill for more oil? Or that would be like, if it's all the zombies have destroyed all that stuff.
I guess you could still siphon out of gas stations,
Right.
I'm sure there'd be more than enough left.
There must be a bunch of gas trucks.
Tons of gas. It's tons of gas.
There must be a ton of trucks sitting on the highway with gas.
I think there'd be more than enough to sustain them for quite some time, As for the ammunition, it's Georgia, think about it.
The same thing about food as well?
But you remember that they're going to leave Georgia.
Are they? Okay.
I can't go that far ahead and tell you, but...
Oh, don't tell me. Yeah. All right. I figured they would. We see other stuff going on.
Well, yeah, in the next season, if the prison does actually go for 2 more seasons, which I suspect it will, then you're going to get to realize that nowhere is really safe. I mean, they're in this prison complex, and eventually they're going to have to move because of altercations between Town X and hordes of zombies.
But the prison was perfect if they didn't have that altercation.
Well, all right, let's not.
Well,
I mean, like, I think it's safe to say, whether you know the comic book or not, there is never going to be a place that's totally safe for the rest of their lives. Basically, they're always going to be moving, experiencing stuff. So, and they're going to lose people and gain people and this and that. And, but it is interesting. What kind?
I think in the comic book there's only 4 or 5 of the current cast that are still alive.
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Yeah, something like that. Of the current cast, main player characters.
Well, so is it fair to say that, like, the main characters that we know now won't always be the main characters?
Yeah.
From the ones now, I know Carl, Rick,
Glenn.
Glenn?
Yeah, Glenn, Maggie, Andrea.
Yeah.
Sophia.
I'm guessing. I think it's safe to say that Daryl is not going anywhere. He'll be alive for quite.
Daryl's not in the comics, so he might go farther than we think because he is very useful and smart.
And it could very well be that they change it from. I mean, it's not canon, It's not exactly the same as the comics are at the moment. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to say that. I mean, look at Sophia. She's still alive in the comic. She's dead in the show. There's really no reason why any of them, live that far.
Right. Yeah, that's shocking. You came dead out that barn.
Yeah, I totally.
But do you think it's fair to say that there's no way that Rick will die? Do you think Rick might die before the end of the show?
I don't think so. I don't know.
They might. I'm thinking they might want to kill Laurie before the baby's born, so to deal with the baby, right?
What?
They might want Laurie to be dead before the baby is born, so I don't have to deal with that. Or maybe I don't know. What do you think?
Okay.
You know what to tell me. All right.
Just know eventually she gonna die.
That's what. Yeah. Not a shock.
Massive spoilers.
Just go back and put it to your bench.
Not massive. No, I mean, but it makes sense because it seems like she's very conflicted. So.
She's a dead weight.
Yeah, she doesn't contribute. I guess it's all about who contributes and who doesn't, right? And that seemed to be like Shade said it to Dale. Like, what do? You fix the car? Like that seems to come up, right? That's going to come up more and more. What can you do, right? What do you have to offer society?
I was shocked because Dale got killed, though.
Yeah.
Because Dale has way more balls in the comic than he does on the TV show.
Yeah.
Right. Although people say Dale trying to bury the guns was the dumbest thing ever. But
no, Dale is he's kind of got a moral thing, but he's totally more, dealing with the situation more better in the comic than he was in the show. He's more trying to keep everybody on, like, society and morals, but it's the zombie apocalypse. There's no morality. You got to do what you need to do to survive. And he's more like that in the comic.
Well, in the show, they kind of portrayed him to the point where, it was kind of a relief to see him die, even though I didn't really want it to happen.
Well, just out of curiosity, yeah. Well, so it makes sense, like forts and prisons, like there's a ton of them around the entire country. Why not have everyone set up? Why rely on one? There's got to be a lot of them. You could go set up forts and prisons, I guess, along the way, collect what you need, resources and ammo, things like that along the way, and set up shop there, and zombies would have to climb all the way over the wall, and by the time, you have stuff, video cameras or whatever you have people standing guard.
If you think about it, all they have to do is just all the herd has to just lean on that fence.
No, but it's one thing to lean on a fence, but it's another thing to lean on a freaking security gate that's weighted with metal. They're not going through that, are they?
It's a whole big herd.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so then you put like a tank against it. They can't go through a tank, can they?
Spoilers.
Oh, really? Would that be... Wow. So you're saying there's enough zombies have enough power to do some crazy stuff, huh?
Well, yeah. They, en masse,
And you're more heavy, so if the whole herd is leaning on the fence, that fence is going to fall. If it's a chain link fence or if it's a shoddy wooden fence, it's going to fall because the weight of all them dead bodies is going to make it collapse.
What about the idea? Well, zombies can dig, right? They have claws like that.
No, they can't dig. They're stupid.
They can't. So what I'm saying, so if they can't dig, no. What about the idea that you dig like a big ass hole around, like really deep, like hole around a fort, and then zombies would just fall into it, right?
And they're just gonna fill it and step on top of each other.
They're gonna do it eventually.
No, and then you burn, and then you just set it all on fire, so they all, die, get incinerated. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, see, if you start reading the comics and you join the discussions, you'll see how it evolves in the comic, and what you just said is in there.
Right, makes sense, yeah. Makes a lot of sense, because zombies aren't necessarily the smartest, and you could actually use, like, live animals and live bait to get them to fall in there and stuff, so. Or whatever the case may be. But I wonder if we're going to be seeing, like, with Town X in prison, and we're going to start to see, like, some of these Lord of the Flies, some of these, like, craziness, I don't know how to say it. Like, there's, like, I've seen it before in movies and TV shows where, like, you have, like, these crazy worlds where, like, they have, like, humans, being fed to zombies and crazy stuff like that, you know?
Oh, wait. Don't say nothing. You're speaking too soon.
No, I mean, I'm only going my own brain based on, what probably...
I'm telling you, too soon.
I haven't read the comic of this thing. Just, it all makes sense. But the other thing, too, I would say is, it is still, they want to be violent, but there is a mainstream type audience, and they want to make, I think he wants to make sure, like, how violent it gets versus the moral issues, but they're going to tear the moral fiber. They're going to tear the moral fiber so they can show you, like, it's every, what if you, like, all those what if situations, like, what if you had to, like, have sex with a babe, crazy stuff, like, so they're, like, and they talk about raping little girls and boys, and I'm guessing we'll see that, yeah.
Yes, you will, trust me. There's no television, they need some entertainment.
Right. It's going to be like...
If you don't see it, it's going to definitely be implied.
The King's Throne, yeah, like a kingdom. It's gonna almost be like Walking Dead's become like a little bit like Game of Thrones with their little kingdoms, and they'll be their own little gangs, and they'll all be fighting to be like in charge or whatever it is or what happens. But the idea that like I wouldn't be surprised if for some reason like a helicopter drops a bomb on say a castle and almost 50 people that were humans die and they all become zombies attacking, right? That's probably something that's going to happen too.
Well, yeah, if their brains are still intact, they'll crawl, they'll do whatever they can.
Right, so things like that would happen. Adam Corbin said he'd jump on a fishing boat and live off the coastline. What is it? Can zombies swim? Yeah, but what happens when there's a tornado? There's still weather, right? That might be interesting. There's a hurricane or tornadoes or things are the winter, right?
I don't know. Do corpses float?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
But yeah, they talked about the winter coming. I hope that we see that, right?
You'll see some snow.
Yeah. Do zombies freeze over, or
yes,
they do?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do freeze. They can't move.
Now, if they freeze, are they gone, or until they're thawed out? Like this. If a zombie freezes and they can't move, does that kill them, or that only makes them frozen until the sun comes out?
They're just frozen until they thaw.
Right. Interesting. Lots of stuff. Some of these comments, thank you for staying with us. We go a while, but we're just excited. Sorry Aaron couldn't join. People are having problems getting back to the Hangout, I'm not sure. Why wasn't there kid zombies in the school? Mostly adult zombies. Okay.
Pedophiles.
Blood on them. Okay, Adam.
I think Adam was smart. He said he'll live on a fishing boat.
Yeah, but can you really live on a fishing boat?
They can't swim.
Why a fishing boat? Why not get a whole yacht or one of the Carnival Cruise Lines and jump on that or whatever?
On a cruise ship?
The cruise ship and take that out.
But again, you're going to be screwed because if somebody dies on that ship and you don't shoot them in the head, there you go.
I guess you have a point.
Then you got zombies on your ship.
Yeah. But the only reason somebody would die is if humans killed each other or an accident.
I mean,
why would
die
you die?
from old age, and if you don't know they're dead in their room, it's a zombie in there, and then when you finally get in their room...
Yeah, but usually if someone dies, if someone's that old, like Herschel's old, but how old do you say Herschel is? 70?
Hell, Dale was older than Herschel.
No, really?
Yeah.
I don't think so. You tell us out there if you think. I thought Dale was younger than Herschel.
I think Dale's retired, but I don't think he's as old as Herschel.
Herschel seemed pretty old.
Herschel was still a working veterinarian, though.
Yeah, it doesn't mean he wasn't old. I don't know.
He can be old, but, you know. Well, Dale might not have been old because he was getting it in where he fit in with. I ain't going to mess it up for you.
That's all right. Dave was like, they can't dig this stupid. They're stupid. Yeah, they can't dig, but they can claw through Dale's guts. I don't know. What's the difference? I mean, like I'm saying, like, you know, if they're if they fall in, they dig through the dirt. So it would make sense though if they know that people can become zombies. It would make sense for them not to be with a crazy amount of people, right? Why would they want to stay there?
Well, yeah, you know, you
want
to make sure that everyone's mentally sound as well, because, you know, like I said before, if they off themselves, then everyone else has got a problem.
Right.
Unless they, you know.
Now, if a zombie gets you, don't the zombies eat you? Am I wrong to think zombies eat your brain?
I don't know, more flesh eating really than brain, but yeah, I mean,
because if they eat
flesh.
your brain, you're not coming back as a zombie, right?
I think we're kind of getting into a gray area, you know, eat the left side, eat the right side, you know, what functions.
I mean, you said a functioning of a brain, so
yeah.
I know we're dissecting, but it's still interesting.
No, it's all very interesting. I just don't think they really go into that in depth, you know.
No, they don't, and it is a character show. Robert Kirkman, are you out there? Is he on Google Plus?
Yeah. Why aren't you returning my emails?
Oh God, really? Probably. Yeah, but would you be scared to eat fish in the ocean? I mean, I guess the fish in the ocean must be pretty. I mean, do you think the fish are infected? Animals? You said no. Someone said no.
I'd have to catch a fish, you know, have a look at it, see if it was doing its normal whatever it does, and, you know, if it looks legit, then why not eat it, you know?
You might have to fish, but, like, yeah, you could fish one day at a time. You'd have to have sushi, I guess, unless you have matches. But how many matches can you have?
Yeah, that's right.
And why a fishing boat? Why not be on a boat that also has some kind of engine? Even if it runs out of fuel, at least you have, you know, you can serve the fuel. And, I don't know. I would like a big-ass boat. If I'm going to live on the ocean, I want a big-ass boat, some kind of houseboat. Why? I mean, even if it runs out of fuel, you could still live on it, right?
Yeah.
But,
I mean, there's no reason why you can't. You just need a constant supply of food, really, wouldn't you?
Yeah. But like I said, the prisons, military bases, you know, how about aircraft carriers? Those things have to exist. And I don't know if we'll, you know, of course, the other thing about the show, too, is as a comic book and as a writer, you know, it doesn't cost you money to write, like, a mansion and an aircraft carrier and explosions. But, you know, that's why they haven't moved from location to location, because it costs them a lot of money to have that farm. It costs them a lot of money to do the setup on the highway. So they don't want to just do it for one day, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
So it makes sense. And so we didn't talk about this. What do you think about Frank Darabont getting fired in the early season 2? Do you think that was weird? You know about that?
I didn't actually know that. Yeah.
Yeah,
wow.
he was let go, and he's starting a new TV show. It's going to be on TNT, and Shane is going to be starring on it. The actor John Barenthal.
Right.
So that should be
wow.
cool. I don't know how good it'll be, but yeah, it's been a great show. I'm looking forward to. I would love to get into Mad Men. I watched a little bit, but I haven't fully got into Breaking Bad is my thing. I like The Killing. I like Game of Thrones. Dexter.
Yeah, I'm quite partial to Breaking Bad, Dexter. I have watched quite a bit of Mad Men. The thing about Mad Men is
hit
that
and miss, right?
Yeah, it's great to watch, but nothing happens.
Yeah. Like people.
There's no plot points.
People cheat on their wives, and they laugh, and they have ad campaigns, and.
Yeah, it's really just everyday life in the 60s, or I guess 70s now, isn't it?
Is it? Yeah, that far. But
yeah,
I watched a little bit of season 1. So yeah, but Breaking Bad was pretty much my favorite show on TV. Like I can relive the finale. The finale of Breaking Bad this season with what happened with Gus, and then even the shootout with Hank and the cousins. Like those two moments were just it's so, and the acting and the character, you want to talk character development. That show is character development. That show
definitely,
and it helps when you only have two main characters and there's not 20 million characters. I think that's the problem with Walking Dead. There's so many characters that. And that was a problem on Lost too. How many times do we have Jack and Sawyer? I don't know if you watch Lost and Kate, and then people like Jen and a lot of other people just Hurley a little bit. I mean, get lost. And Claire definitely.
And then they added the others from the tail section, and that just threw 6 new main characters.
And then they had to kill all of them, right? So.
Yeah, which was. It's actually interesting. I'm not sure if you actually followed these stories in real life behind that, but a lot of the directors got tired of a lot of the actors and actresses being, pulled over for drink driving or public displays of random behavior, and he eventually decided to write them out of the show.
Yeah, what's her face? I forgot her name.
Michelle Rodriguez.
She was the leader of whatever. There were a lot of issues, but I think people have issues. But I think when you are in Hawaii and you're looking your friends aren't around, and I can't imagine you do the touristy thing a little bit, but then you're all right, we're drinking. And also, someone like Michelle Rodriguez wasn't needed every week. She wasn't in every episode, and so there must have been a lot of downtime. But I don't know. She was probably one of the few good parts. Actually, I actually enjoyed her in Avatar. So one of the few parts of Avatar that was okay. But she basically was playing the same character, tough kind of character.
I find that for most of her characters, even in the Resident Evil franchise, it's just the same. I'm actually just flipping through my comics right here.
Cool.
We were talking about earlier the eating fish or something to see if they're zombified or whatnot. There's actually something involving Dale much further on. I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't actually read the comic, but I think some survivors do try to eat zombie flesh.
Oh, on purpose?
Yeah, I mean these aren't
hungry?
Yeah, these are just random people living out of a church somewhere,
And does that turn them into a zombie?
I don't think so, but I think they didn't really have a great
They must have
effect.
got sick.
Yeah, I think they got fairly sick because of it, but they didn't necessarily die or turn into the walkers or anything.
Right. Do they call them walkers in the book too?
Yeah, they do.
Does the word do they ever hint or tease the word zombie or no?
Not really, no. I know the group from Town X, they call them something different.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then the guy in the bar, Pete, called it something else, and he said he thought it was cute that they called them walkers.
Well, no, Rick's main group, they have, I think, 2 different terms for. They sort of categorize the different kinds of zombies. There's walkers and there's roamers. The roamers are kind of the ones that just continually walk.
Right.
Walk around searching for things, and the roamers are the walkers are just the ones that, react to sound.
So, speaking of Darabont, David Moreno said that the part of the reason why Darabont they got rid of him is because he wanted Shane to outlive Rick, and I guess that was the big creative issue. I don't know if that's true.
Oh, right.
So I wonder now, and there is a case to be made. Although I think that the idea that we watched Rick survive, get out of the hospital, and do all that, implies that we really can't get rid of him because we spent so much time. He opened the show with the gunshot. And do you think the gunshot to that little girl was kind of like was basically foreshadowing him shooting Sophia like that? It's a weird kind of
Yeah, sort of paralleled it, didn't it?
Yeah, you don't think about that. A lot of parallels. But it seemed like Rick is gonna have. Well, Rick did kill Shane. Now, do you think that Rick killed Shane really because he wanted him gone, or do you think that just because he knew that there's, a nuisance? It seemed like nobody seemed happy about him killing Shane, right? Is that because Shane was also a warrior, and Shane was also protecting them from zombies?
I think Rick finally realizes he has to get down to his animal complexes, Yeah. Does he want this other alpha male continually butting heads with him, questioning him at every turn, and letting go of his morality, He's never really murdered someone, but he's forced to finally do it because it's what's best for everyone's survival in the long term.
I might want to watch when Shane dies again because when Shane gets Shane doesn't. Rick is the one saying, "Oh, you made me do it. I hate you." But you don't. And I know Shane's getting killed, but do you think Shane's just in shock that he doesn't? There are no real word. Shane doesn't. While he's getting stabbed, he doesn't say one more word, right? Unless I missed it.
I don't think he does, but I think, as someone was saying earlier, he kind of had nothing to live for. Rick was back in the picture. Laurie and Carl were being taken care of.
Right.
Rick was kind of this figurehead, which he was previously. He really had nothing to live for, and I think he finally accepted his fate at that point.
Yeah, but what was Shane? The idea that he could have run around with Andrea, but the idea that Shane didn't want to be alone. Nobody wanted to be alone, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone wants to be alone, and I think that even though they say, that's when Rick says in the end, he's like, "Oh, you want to go out there?" Nobody wants to be alone. So. In this kind of thing. And what do you think, the idea that they were all smart enough to meet back at the highway, you think that was a little far-fetched or not?
Yeah, I actually didn't agree with that scene very much. Retrace their steps, but not everyone would have actually thought, let's all go to some place we've all been before, because if they were going there, why didn't they just go back, drive past the farm, It
was a little cheap, but I will say that, again, I think that has to do with chess pieces and money and the idea that we can't just have everyone in different locations, because what they would have to do is not only would they have different locations, but again, they'd have to be like, all right, well, instead of everyone filming today in this one location, because they don't have that much money, they'd have to be like, all right, this week we're filming with these characters, then we're, or this day, it's just too much, I think, from a budget. Although they have the most. They have, AMC has never had numbers comparable to network, but Walking Dead is very respectable as far as the people tuning in to watch it. So
it's what is it called over there? It's not paid cable, is it? It's
basic.
Basic cable, yeah.
Yeah, that everyone basically gets.
Okay.
Geeks, that's right. They did call them geeks. Merle called them geeks, right? Or Daryl? The zombies?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, Adam says when you stand in the lungs, they fill with blood quite fast. Shock and fluid in your lungs wouldn't leave Shane. Yeah, probably. He was shocked. And, but, I don't know. I didn't think both Dale and Shane would die. I thought maybe just one of them would. I didn't think they both would, so.
I knew Shane was coming purely from the comic book, but like I said, I totally didn't expect Dale.
Right. Unfortunately, the only reason I really knew Shane was going to die, I expected someone had to die, but there were a lot of spoilers and a lot of people saying, that he already was cast in a new TV show. And so
I think there was also, if I'm not mistaken, the Blu-ray info got released on the website, and it had something about one of the characters' deaths, I'm not too sure. I'd have to find the actual news story again, but it was leaked a couple of weeks ago. I know it was featured on Superhero Hype and a few other entertainment websites. I think Variety even talked about it.
Let's talk. Okay, so I see a little bit of TV, got little stuff. So the season 2 finale, 9 million people watched, the highest rated episode in series history.
Wow.
Yeah, the mid-season was 8.1. Let's see. 6 million people from 18 to 49, 5.3 in 25 to 54. Season 2 is up. Let's see, what else can I see? Yeah, I guess Michonne was a big surprise, and to see in the season 2 finale.
Yeah, I actually didn't expect it. I think, like I posted on a Google Plus post, I was actually screaming yes, yes, and pumping my fist, and I had to pause it and take a screenshot of it and calm down, basically.
Now, so let's talk a little bit. So there was a little bit of spoiler on the thread about who the chain people were, but we don't have to get into that. What we can say is, if a zombie has no arms, and it looked like chains were in their mouths, right? Like their mouths were chained, so they couldn't use them. Or was it?
I think maybe around the neck. I'm not sure.
But their mouths were shut, or somehow taped, or.
I'm fairly sure their mouths are cut off. Oh,
she cut off their mouths and their arms?
Yeah.
So there's no possible way for these 2 zombies to attack anybody, really?
No, they're pacified, more or less.
And can can zombies just stay around forever without eating? How does that work?
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier.
Because vampires need blood to live, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been anything covered in letting them die out. I think they just kind of continually rot to the point where, various pieces may fall off, or they just can't move anymore, but effectively they would still be alive until their brain activity was interrupted.
Until they're just like a little tiny head.
Yeah, sitting on the ground going, ah.
Yeah, kind of like the half woman. And you said you talked about the webisodes, right? Was that you?
No, I haven't actually seen the webisodes. I'm not even sure if I can access them being here in Australia.
Hopefully, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'll have to find them. I will find them. It's just I might have to go to less legitimate sources.
Right. You're like, I will find them. There will be a place. So it'd be cool to see who's. I appreciate everyone that's been watching all this time or just joining us. Just a shout out to Shannon Schauffer, Javid, Imran Khan, Jenny Morales, Adam Corbin, The Walking Dead Circle, Khan, not on Buang. I definitely said your name wrong. Who else? Well, Jessica Wood, of course, out with her son for her birthday, no problem. Henry A. Otero, thank you for checking us out. He's like one of the heads of the Walking Dead Circle. Jessica Wood as well. And I see Peter McDermott checked in, David Moreno, and let's see who else. And then everybody that joined me in the Hangout was awesome, and I'll keep going a little longer. Edward, Nigma, Edward, and we also had Mike Searle, Crooklyn, Mayo, KM Jr. I'm sure. I wonder that's the longest name ever. Stephen Pell, Tanyatta Rowe, Daniel Fontaine. Laundry Ward. Who else was in here? Did I get everybody? My group chat's messed up. I don't know if I missed anybody. So I want to have more of these for more shows as we go along. We do this Plustainment show with Jane Allen. We don't get to cover everything because I like to keep that short. These kind of things that I'm making long. And Daniel mentioned Fringe. We mentioned a bunch of shows as well. I'm going to get into right now. Adam said they have no lower jaw. Okay, their jaws are cut off. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think zombies or the walkers? Do you think they feel pain?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's just their basic bodily motor functions that are just the need to eat, basically. Reduced to the absolute primal human, wants and needs, which is first of all to eat, self-sustenance. But I mean, who's to say what zombie brain function is? I don't think it's ever been covered in any sort of zombie movie that I've ever seen.
Do you think by the time the season wraps up, do you think it'll just end with everyone basically, at least the main characters getting killed and everyone getting killed, or do you think there's going to be some kind of hope where they get a cure?
I kind of like the endings with the downturns where, it's not that it's all for nothing, but they have to accept their fate, and eventually it's just not going to lead anywhere. I mean, I'm always a fan of the downturns, but hey, there could be a cure out there. I know in the comic book they're still going, and they haven't really... There's no explanation for the virus. I mean, what are we at? Number 94 or 95 or something. And only now they've recently just discovered more people. So, you know, we're hoping that once they reach the 100th book that, you know, they'll eventually get into something. But I know a lot of people just want the mystery to remain there, you know. They don't want to find the answer because that's not what the show's about.
Right, it's not about that, and I think that Lost was more about that, even though they try to say it's not. But if the Lost really and put up enough questions, but that's another thing. They're talking about Jenny Morales says if everyone's infected and all it takes to turn is to die. Does that mean that if you get bitten and survive, you don't necessarily turn? And Tanyatta said, yes, it does. Most times it's generally the bite that kills you, the shock from it. Now, are you to tell me that you tell me that if you get bit, you don't turn into a zombie unless you die?
I think it really depends on how the infection's handled. I was actually talking about this with my brother the other day. The infection, you know, could have an adverse effect on the body to the point where it may even prematurely affect the brain before death. I mean, who's to say that the virus doesn't actually activate until death when there's no brain function and it sort of takes over, sort of like a computer virus, or, you know, at the very least. I mean, there's no reason to say that.
But I thought, like, if you're bitten, well, so they're basically saying, because before when you were bit, you were infected because you were bit. Now because you're already infected, it doesn't. But they were already infected then too, whether they knew it or not, right? So, yeah. What is different?
I honestly can't say, but
I mean, I feel like if you're bit, you're turning then before you die, right?
Like I said, I think it would be the way that the infection's handled. I know some characters do get bitten later. I could probably talk about what happens to Dale, but not how he dies necessarily. He eventually does lose a leg to a zombie bite, and they just decide to cut it off, and he's fine afterwards.
Just one last line.
Yeah. So I don't think it's more of, you know, increasing the throughput of the virus. I think it's more just, if it's not handled, they're going to go into shock, or they're just going to die. Through blood loss or whatever.
And do you think that we're ever going to meet other people out there that are trying to find a cure, or that's kind of already over?
Could very well be. They haven't gone over it in the comics, but yeah, who's to say that Kirkman won't throw in a subplot or even a backstory through a webisode or something?
Possibly. I mean, there's got to be some. I mean, do you think there are people that we're going to meet people that enjoy this new kind of outlaw life, right? They like it, maybe.
Yeah, they love it, and that's predominantly what is happening in Town X.
And is Town X located in Georgia?
Yeah.
And is it safe to assume that the guys that were killed in the bar lived in Town X?
I would say very, very likely.
Because all Randall said about it was we have a big group of people and they rape kids and this and that, and
not a nice place.
But it didn't seem like the people that were sent out, you know, were too smart or too, like, they were trying to be conniving, but it didn't seem like they were, like, Rick didn't seem to have too big a problem with them, right? As far as handling them. I mean, he did have to deal with that situation in the bar, killing them, but once they killed those guys, like the guys that they're outside, like the one guy drove away, like nobody from Town X, it seems, has loyalty to anybody. Like there's no, like,
it's sort of every man for himself survival.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing like humans are killing humans like nonstop in Town X, like it's a normal thing.
Humans, zombies, humans.
Right. Do you think we'll ever see a zombie somehow kill another zombie?
Town X.
Yeah?
Just keep watching.
All right. I mean, I can imagine like Town. I don't know if it's Town X or like you know how like I can imagine them putting like two zombies together and making them like fight each other or something, right?
Yeah, it could very well be without giving much away. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. We'll have to see. There's only so many episodes, so much time, and they want to develop story, and so medieval
Honestly,
times.
I'd like to see them extend the seasons to. I mean, 16 episodes in season 3, so I'd say probably 22 by season 4. Sort of like what happened to Lost, how they decided to go more into character development and extend the seasons for about 8 episodes in the last 3 seasons each.
They're saying, Adam Corman's saying infection is dormant until death as per TS19. Bitten by active infection. I thought like it's not till death. It's if a zombie bites you, but I guess if they cut off the part they bit you. But basically, Tanya, I was saying if you do get bitten, you're gonna die, right? So, but what about like the chills, right? We saw people get like didn't we watched somebody? You said it was Daryl's partner or whatever, like got like the chills and the fever until he turned into a zombie, right?
Yeah, I think that's because his infection was mishandled and they really had no medical supplies to deal with it.
Yeah, but
I mean, that's a guess.
But all season 1 was talking about, leaving like the guy at the beginning of the son, like the wife, like my wife got the chills and the freeze and she turned into a zombie, right? Like that was a common thing. Everyone got like this. But some people got it without getting bitten, right? It seemed like some people just got the chills and the freeze, right? This disease.
I'd have to go back and actually look at it again.
Yeah, I think people were just because people had to turn into these things without getting bitten.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, some people could have been, their immune systems could have just been too weak to deal with the actual infection.
Right. It does seem like people can just play dead or have a dead zombie on top of them and fool every zombie. It's like, it seems that simple.
I think they're going off their main senses, which is predominantly just sight. I don't think really smell plays. I mean, smell could, I suppose.
Right.
Just the 3 senses: sight, hearing, smell.
It was interesting. The preppy zombie, we were going to call him the one that they let walk past, and then eventually Daryl kills. And he eventually does turn around and hears him talking. So, it's almost like the sound reminds you a little bit of Jurassic Park with sound, right? Like as far as like
sound definitely plays a larger part in the coming story. They sort of tend to favor their melee weapons rather than shooting anything because I think, like someone was saying earlier, it's like ringing a dinner bell.
Mm. Yeah, you see that when you see them like just they were walking the other way and then they turn when they hear the gunshot. So David's saying the arm getting cut off. These are people on the thread checking us out. Dale got all depressed and Wozni. I'm not sure what they're talking about. They're talking about the comic or. So what was the best? So for you, what's the best thing you've seen so far on the TV show besides the appearance of Michonne?
Sophia, I guess, walking out of that barn. I really didn't expect it. I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention to the subtext or really, because I've read the comic and she's still alive, I totally didn't expect that to happen.
I had a feeling like I don't know if it was the episode before when he found her when he found her bear or whatever that was, her doll, or it was literally the finale. Either then I got an idea, or in the finale when they were gonna open up the barn. I remember when you see them collecting the people, I'm like thinking, I was thinking about it, and like it was like not such a shock that she was in there. Actually, I mean, to me, I didn't know she was in there, but I had like until towards the end, I started thinking like they have to resolve this. They can't keep going. They're not looking for her anymore. They're opening up the barn. I had a sense like that she might be in there. So it was just as far as just the logistics of story, the idea that they're done looking for her. They've looked for her forever. They have to tell us what happened. They're not just going to leave it a mystery because that's not how the show works. They answer things, so they're not lost. So.
Yeah, that's right. There's still so many loose ends hanging there. We'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know, but they don't like to have loose ends much. So we're gonna see more. So now people are gonna be more Shane-like, and people are gonna do what they have to do to survive. So
definitely. Eventually Rick's going to have to choose exactly what he
what he believes in.
Yeah, what he believes in, who he wants to survive, who lives or dies.
Yeah. He
really, really does turn to the point where he's pretty well gone compared to what you would, say someone like you and me in contemporary society. He has to cope with.
Yeah, but he's not alone. I think the rest of them get there too. No.
Some of them get there. Some of them are driven to the point of suicide. Some of them,
Well, the one
lose
chick,
the will to live.
wait. I mean, I could see that one chick that already went through suicide, but maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I think Carol might, because Carol, they keep talking about Carol having a love triangle with Daryl and what's his face? Her face, Michonne, or I don't know.
I'd say if Daryl wasn't in the picture, then
Carol would be dead.
Yeah, Carol would be dead. But seeing as how they brought in this new character, which is awesome, who's a possible love interest for her, then I don't think she will have the same fate as in the comic book.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't see Daryl. Daryl's not going to take shit from anybody, so I think Daryl's. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in town next to the prison, but I can't see him wanting to stick around those places too long. And this is a character's line in the comic book. I can't see Daryl wanting to be being ordered around,
Yeah, he probably has a breaking point as well. But who's to say that he will even hang around the prison at the start of season 3? Could very well be that. I mean, I just have a theory that T-Dog and Daryl will probably head off on their own thing because T-Dog wanted to go to the coast. He was pretty adamant about that.
Right.
So maybe he'll head off.
Do you think there's? I mean, yes, there's zombies everywhere. They'd be on the beach too, right?
I'd say so. Yeah.
I don't know.
Most probably.
And you think it's safe to say there are way more zombies than there are humans?
Oh yeah, I'd say so.
You think so?
I mean, it's America, cardio.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Thanks. Yeah. What about the other countries around the world? Does anyone? What about in Europe? They're faster. There are more humans in Europe.
They're more snooty in France. I don't know. They haven't really focused on anything international, but right. I think they're heading towards it in the comic book right now.
Right. But do you think that people that are living in really cold climates didn't get affected because it's so cold, like Alaska and?
Could have been, yeah. I mean.
And zombies would get to a point where they wouldn't want to walk, and they would turn around from the cold instinctively, right?
They'd probably get frozen over. I don't think.
Yeah, but if they ever got thawed out, they would definitely turn around, right? I would think.
I'd say they'd follow whatever stimuli would really be around them, sound, right. Or if they see something moving. Or.
But so, there's still. I mean, I don't know. There's still are there any sounds that just go off naturally in the world that would still go off? Like things like church bells need to be rung by people, would you say electricity? Do you think there's electricity still flowing through stuff or no? Anywhere?
I think the infrastructure is still intact. It's just the human side of things, yeah. No, the maintenance isn't being kept up. It'd shut itself off after a period of time. Nothing really is self-sustaining in the world.
Jenny said she didn't know The Walking Dead till her daughter got her hooked. Season 2. Yeah, no, great. Yeah, if Carol loses Daryl's love interest, she'll become suicidal. Yeah, probably, unless she learns how to freaking defend herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam says cardio. Depending on how the infection is spread, it would depend on as to what regions are affected. Yeah, but I think that maybe not too hot, but definitely too cold. There might be some issues. But do you think so cold affects them, but heat doesn't affect them, does it? I guess not.
No, I guess not.
All right, cool. So before we go, are you looking forward to, do you watch either Killing or Game of Thrones or not really?
Yeah, I watched Game of Thrones. I don't think I've seen The Killing, but
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out if you recommend
I would
it.
start. Well, the thing about The Killing is that I thought, like, there's going to season 2, season 1's now. A lot of people are upset because, and this is a little bit of spoiler alert, but you don't, well, maybe I shouldn't tell you. Well, should I tell you or not?
Go for it.
So they have this whole campaign, like the whole show's about one murder the whole season, find out who did it, and they make it sound like you find out who did it, but you don't. So a lot of people were pissed at the end of season 1 that you don't find out who the murderer was, and so a lot of people were pissed and rage quit. But I don't want to watch the show anymore. But I still think it's interesting, the characters and all that for the most part, and it's based on a Swedish show. And so it's coming back, but they said that you're gonna find out who did it. It's like, you know, in the first few episodes maybe or mid-season, but there'll be more questions and it's controversy, but it's interesting. But Game of Thrones, I did a marathon for it to catch up for it, and spoiler alerts too. Like the idea that I didn't read the books either, and the idea that Sean Bean gets killed, that was pretty big. And and he was the only name that I knew of that anyone knows. I think Lena Headey maybe, but so.
Well, he has a tendency to die in 99% of all his productions. Yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. He was actually on a Hangout, I think. One of the Fox Hangouts, because Jane Ellen met him. He was on that. And so she asked him about, he says he flips the end of the script when I see if he dies. But he dies, yeah, pretty much everything. So I don't, do you think that have you read those books or no?
I've read the first 2 novels. Okay. I'm really going to play some serious catch-up on them, actually.
Yeah.
But they were both rentals from friends, from recommendations, so I'd have to go out and actually pick up a set myself. I think there's 6 at the moment.
Okay.
6 books. There's meant to be 7.
And I know the guy, George R.R. Martin, that wrote books and does he's the head of it. He basically called the ending a lost crap. Like, he's totally thought it was a turd. He was disappointed about the ending. But his show is great. I really hope that they probably don't for a while, but it'd be awesome. Like that little boy that's king, I just want to see, we all want to see him like ripped to shreds, right?
Get brutally slaughtered, yeah, I have to join you in that.
Yeah, I think we all, it's ridiculous.
As far as I know, he...
You don't tell me.
Something to do
I'll wait.
Yeah.
Don't tell me. But I think, a lot of people like Peter Dinklage, like Tyrannus. I don't know. I can say anyone's name. But yeah, he's pretty cool, but pretty entitled. But I guess he survives because he's so tiny that people, miss him. But the fact that do you think he's the best character on the show? I guess it was Sean Bean, but
I kind of like Bastard Snow, Jack Snow.
The guy at the Watch, the one that's
think
he's gonna leave the Watch eventually and join the war and stuff.
Yeah, I believe he does actually. It would be very good to see in the show, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He kind of becomes the saving grace of the whole. Can never remember the name of the kingdom.
The Lannister. Oh, yeah, the other guy.
The other guys.
The other ones, yeah. I don't remember either. But
sort of overcomes his position in life as being the bastard to become the savior of
so
his
which
family.
show do you think is going to last longer, Game of Thrones or who's going to have more seasons, Game of Thrones or Walking Dead?
Oh, it's a tough one.
Because they're both based on ongoing stuff.
Well, Game of Thrones has a lot of nudity. Walking Dead has a lot of zombies.
I don't know, but they're both popular, but
they're both fantastic stories.
Although I will say HBO, I think, might have more money than AMC, right?
Oh yeah, HBO is swimming in money, and I think they're still working off the money from their Sopranos days.
Right, Sex and the City, Sopranos.
Yeah.
I still have to watch The Wire. That's supposedly people say The Wire.
Actually.
They said The Wire is the best show on TV, so...
I've actually heard that, but I've sort of held off because I sat through 6 seasons of The Shield in about a month, and it kind of tired me out. But I will eventually get to it.
I watched most of The Shield, but I wasn't like crazy. You enjoyed the whole thing, or?
I didn't really enjoy it so much as it just came as recommended by a bunch of friends who were just
he's really good at it. He's really good.
Yeah, he was really good. It kind of dragged on in the last season, maybe last 2 seasons. They sort of lost their edge, I think, after season 4. I guess they decided to change up a few of the main characters, and it just didn't really work in their favor.
Yeah, and I know
but it was a good show overall.
But people like Buffy. I watched pieces of it. I've never watched all of it. And people like Friday Night Lights. I didn't get into it after the pilot. I don't know.
Yeah, never bothered. No.
But yeah, and I try to get into Luck. I like Boardwalk Empire. It's not bad.
Did they? I thought they were holding off on Luck. Didn't they have a few horses die?
Yeah, horses die, and I wonder if it's just that, or like it was they wanted to go away because I don't think people were watching it or liking it. The problem is Milch, the guy that writes it. He did Deadwood, but he also did John from Cincinnati, and he writes really kind of slow, and I think that if you think Walking Dead is slow, watch Luck. I mean. Luck, and I liked it, but it was just too... He literally has groups it's like, all right, now we're going to be Dustin Hoffman and Dennis Farina. Now we're going to be with a bunch of gamblers, their storyline. Now we're going to be with Nick Nolte and his horse's storyline. Now we're with this storyline. So, one episode would be, checking in on each person's storyline,
Yeah.
Every episode. It was tiresome because you're like, I don't even care about any of these characters. It's like, there's all these people, kind of like... character fuck, or whatever. But
yeah.
All right, we should wrap up. I know we've been talking forever. I probably won't have a voice tomorrow. But Dexter. I mean, I think Dexter's jumped the shark a little bit. I really think they made a big mistake when Deb discovered him with Julia Stiles. She should have found out then, and it's not wait another season. That was a mistake.
I think in the books, Deb discovers it in somewhere around season 2-ish.
Yeah, and she helps him or something.
Yeah, she eventually sort of loses evidence and whatnot. I haven't read them, but I really should.
Yeah, as you can tell, I do read. I just been so plucked out. It's like you don't even read. And then there's people talk about Shades of Grey is good. Talk about Hunger Games, which I guess did that come out in the movie theater? It's on the hot list.
I think it's out here tomorrow, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, let's see. I'm looking at TV. This one article about Walking Dead. There's a rally on the. Yeah, armless and jawless walkers. Okay, they were armless and jawless. With Michonne. So what did you think about his speech, Rick's speech, when he talked about that and how, that speech at the end, he said this is not a democracy?
Sort of laying his heels in as the leading force of the group. He's not going to accept any sort of behavior like Shane pulled off. I mean, anyone else in their right mind would have just, took him out to the field and just did what they needed to do.
Yeah.
But no, it's definitely showing Rick's character development as he, starts to shed his morals, come out of his shell, and do whatever's needed to do to survive.
Yeah, and I think that people are just afraid. I mean, I don't think that they all love the idea of Rick or whatever, but I mean, let's be honest. Shane was Rick came in later. Shane was basically their leader before Rick, And at some point. I think Shane was really pissed off because at some point Rick shows up and all of a sudden Rick is promoted leader while Shane used to be the leader, And there's no real vote on it, right? I don't remember. I think it's just kind of Rick shows up and now they're doing what he says, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Because it was it's this is my wife and my kids. So why do you think? And I get that, right? Why did Rick just take over because Rick was higher up in the police department, or why?
Yeah, I would have to guess that as well. I'd say, he was probably his superior, so he just naturally felt the need to take hold of the situation.
Mm. And do you think that, I think Daryl would go off on his own because he could survive, but I think that he still wants to protect Carol and he can't handle Carol by himself, maybe, or... I don't know. The people that do stay, like Glenn, Maggie, the daughter, and, Carl and Lori, obviously they're scared. They wouldn't go anywhere. So...
No. Which is what, sort of reinforces that I think Daryl's going to somehow stumble upon Town X, sort of get caught up in what's going on there. Yeah, not necessarily agree with everything that's going on in Town X and most probably make a return to the prison. That's just a wild guess, but I'd like to see it turn out like that. It'd be very interesting.
And so I guess you think Lori, even though Lori pushed Rick to kill Shane, you think that she really never thought he would do it?
I think, honestly, she was just playing them against each other to see who would become the dominant one, really. Everybody calls her a whore and everything. I sort of didn't really agree with everything like that until she started playing them against each other, and I thought, well, this bitch has got some serious problems. She's obviously trying to do something,
Do you think it's fair to say Rick's a murderer because of that? What happened with Shane? Or that's unfair?
I probably wouldn't call it murder. I'd probably call it preemptive defense.
So basically what he did to Shane was the same thing as like what he did to the guys in the bar. It was like survival. Like either kill or be killed.
Survival of the fittest, yeah.
Kill or be killed.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, and Shane, we talked about Carl losing his innocence, right? But Carl was still upset about Shane, so maybe he didn't lose all his innocence, right?
Not just yet. He's got a lot coming. He's got a lot to see before he eventually, becomes darker and darker, which is something I'm actually really looking forward to seeing in the upcoming seasons. Carl being sort of jaded by all his surroundings, people dying, him coming to accept that they live in a world full of death around every corner. It's kind of exciting. And to even see Carl sort of lose his morals as a child as well, as he is forced to grow up really fast. Where to the point where he actually makes his own decisions based on life and death. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Do you think we're going to continue to have this thing where Carl wanders off? Like, is this going to play out? Is it just going to be like, do we have to have it? Can we, like, if you're out there, Robert Kirkman, in Season 3, can Carl not wander off? Like, can that not be, like... Please.
It's just like... Carl's
I honestly
not
think
stupid, right?
Yeah, I think they've sort of tapped that out when it comes to, relevant plot points.
I feel that if they go to the prison and Carl's just gonna wander off and go into the jail cells and everyone's gonna be like, oh, where's Carl?
Actually, funny you mentioned that in the prison in the comic book. I know.
Am I writing this from my head? Jesus Christ! I'm not trying to guess everything that happens.
I know Rick does become really overprotective and really stresses to Carl that he needs to stay within, sight at all times, not only because of a few questionable characters within there, but again...
He can't... Now, is he going to be... Is it fair... without... I don't need spoiling, but is it fair to say that he's not the only child in the prison?
Well,
if
Sophia
they
was
don't
still
really
alive.
want to work... Well, I know they don't really want to work with children.
Is.
Really? I know they don't really want to work with children, but... So you think that do you think most children didn't make it because they're children?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Interesting. And the idea that Lori is pregnant and people find out about that is going to be a major thing too, right? I would think they were probably going to be judgmental and I
think most of them did find out about it.
I'm not talking about the group. I'm talking about the people they encountered to come.
Right.
So and do you think? If they're all having sex, that means other people must be pregnant too, right?
Yeah.
They're raping.
It could happen. Yeah.
So
yeah, that's right.
wonder that'll be interesting. So, and we're just recapping. You're like, I thought you were gonna let me go. Michonne. So Michonne seems like a pretty badass character, and like seems like pretty trained and able to just like take care of herself. Like, in the comic, do you know a lot of her background, or a lot of it's mystery?
Not really a lot, but you do find out that she was just a normal person and has come to deal with, survival by any means necessary, and which actually plays out with the two zombies she's got.
Right, yeah, that they're related to her. Yeah. But is she by far the most popular character in the comic book?
I'd say the sword pretty much justifies her as probably that. There's another character that may come out in the prison.
Now, do you think Daryl? Do you think that Daryl's on the same badass level as Michonne, or no? Not yet.
Not just yet. No.
Not just yet.
Michonne is completely dead to the world, I'd say.
All right.
She's just doing what she needs to survive, no matter what the consequences.
I'm just reading some stuff.
Just earlier, I was actually just trying to find a map of where they've been and where they're going, and actually
is there something? Map. Is there someone made a map? That's cool.
Someone's actually plotted it out. This is from the comic book. I don't think it's from the actual TV show, so I'm not sure if people would want to see it.
Cool. This you could just put. My chat's all messed up. I need a link, but.
Let's have a look. And it's actually very different from what I gathered, but my American geography isn't as great as I thought it was.
Oh, that's okay. No worries. I'm sure as far as like in Australia where things are located, we wouldn't be amazing as far as that goes. 1 second. I'm just seeing something for the Hangout.
Wow, that chat really is screwed.
Yeah, so it's interesting what's going on with the chat and also the green screen. I have you, and then I have you green screen, yet I'm showing myself as green screen, and so I don't know what the deal is with that. Hopefully we can use some of this recording. I don't know if people want to sit through it. It's pretty long. Maybe they will, maybe not. We talked about all. I think we dissected it. Craziness. Solid. Dexter, yeah. Yeah, me too, Adam. Thanks for being part of Adam Corbin and for staying up with us, and Tanyatta, everyone. Jenny. Good night, everybody. Good night, Jenny. Just finish up. So, let's see. I'm basically just reading an interview with Kirkman and just getting some ideas about what he's saying. He's basically saying the governor as well as Michonne are going to be the same as they are on the comic.
Oh, that's good.
He said people will love to hate but be absolutely entertained by the governor, but also somewhat terrified of him. He's going to be a very important character and very nuanced character. They're not watering him down. So that sounds like he's going to do some pretty disgusting things, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, that's for sure.
Basically, he's also saying because everyone knows about the infection that things are going to seem more bleak and somewhat hopeless that everyone's infected. So people are going to get it more, turn to more of a dark place. You mentioned the suicide stuff, so maybe people might think, oh, I'm infected, I might as well kill myself, right? But if they kill themselves, they become zombies, right? So,
exactly.
or they would shoot themselves in the head, but...
Well, that'd be the sensible option if they didn't want anyone else to die, yeah.
Right. And they asked about the speed because Shane became a zombie pretty instantly. And Kirk was saying, it's not like a science, a perfect science. Age, health. I guess it depends on the speed of dying, about how fast you become a zombie. Yeah, it is cool to see, like, Andrea at the end, she's alone. Everyone's like, oh, she's alone. But it is cool to see, like, this season she really, like, became, like, she was, like, standing guard and shooting. And, she was, like, really gung-ho about it, And then to see her having to survive, like, it just, that was the arc, the story that they were doing with her.
Yeah. It's actually good to see that because in the comic they do eventually turn her into some sort of a sharpshooter.
Annie Oakley, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they talk a little about the barn because it took a while to build that barn, and then, but that barn, I guess that barn was built from scratch. It wasn't, they had to build it, and they said, so that it looked pretty good for a barn that they had to build, right?
Mm.
Yeah, and I read something about the barn, like, while it was burning, like, they didn't have, like, they had only, like, a chance to do, like, 1 second shot, like, do it really quickly, so, interesting. Like, so the idea that zombies are easily distracted, right? Or...
Yeah. Yeah, if you can distract them with
some
sound.
Figure out what that is. Like, I wonder, that's one thing that's one thing maybe that you never see them talk about or spend time on, but, like, they spend all day kind of, like, doing things, I don't even know what they do all day, it's hard to tell, but you'd think they would have, like, some kind of, like, group session zombie class where they all kind of get together and say, all right, this is what we know, this is what we don't know, let's all be on the same page about it, right? Like that, but I guess that's just, like, that's not TV drama, that's not how it works. It's like, if everyone knows everything, it's too smart. Alright, cool. Well, thanks for being part of this. Is there anything else you want to talk about or say, or try to cover?
No, I'm good. Thank you for including me.
You got it. And this is my first time doing something like this. I would love to do it for all season finales and stuff that people watch or premieres, or maybe I'll do one for Game of Thrones. We'll see. I don't know how much I'll keep up. Like, I'm delayed on stuff, Walking Dead, I was watching live for a while. I was behind a little bit at the beginning. I was behind, like, on the first 2 or 3, and then I caught up. But,
so if you ever do get something together for Game of Thrones or whatever, feel free to throw me an invite. I tend to keep up on a lot of good TV shows. Try to stay away from a lot of all the crap ones.
So what about, do you watch Talking Dead? Do you get that? Like,
yeah, I do. I actually haven't seen last night's episode. I've just downloaded it and probably watch it after this. I have to go and run some errands sometime soon.
What time is, probably like the middle of the day there, right? Or it's evening?
It's about almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
It's 25 after 1 in the morning here, so.
Right.
Yeah, you're like, we're living in the past. We're living in the future.
Future ain't that great.
Yeah, I know. You're in the future, but even though you're in the future, it's the same time as we're in now, but you're just in different locations, so.
Human conceptualization of time,
Yeah, we're still in the same time, the same. You have sun, we don't. That's the difference.
That's it.
All right, cool. It would be really cool to see, like, if they went to places like where temperature and sun, like Alaska, where it's like dark or it's always sunny, or.
Yeah, I'd say people in Alaska would be pretty safe. I mean, I don't think, airborne viruses. I mean, you'd assume that it would be airborne, wouldn't you?
I mean, yeah. I mean, the only thing you'd have to worry about is people dying from. But if they freeze, you have to worry. I mean, no one wants to live in the snow, but if it means you're gonna live, what about? But what about like taking a boat to like a tropical island that didn't have a lot of people, killing everybody on that island? No, I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. It's entirely possible. I mean, it kind of reminded me of this old Outer Limits episode where I think I can't even remember the plot, but the whole idea behind it was that there was this plague that came from the eventual culmination of human interaction, different genes with different, all getting mixed up, and eventually it, started with just a simple handshake, just everything coming together to form the perfect virus sort of thing, And I've sort of got an idea if maybe that's what's even behind the plague, It might not even have any sort of, what would you call it? Like scientific upbringing. Like it wasn't made in a lab, it wasn't part of a monkey, it wasn't like it's,
Yeah, but the idea that you turn into something that can rip, I don't know. The idea that you could turn into such a monster to me seems like, because it's not even about what happens to your brain. It's about like how you deform. I don't know. Just like the idea that your brain could shut off and be dead and then turn back on is weird, right? That's the weird part.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of seems sort of parasitic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like something else is taking over from what you leave behind.
Would you be disappointed if it was military or alien based?
Kind of, because it's sort of been done over and over.
Right. So the only thing is like we don't know, or it could be something like really simple, but I can't.
I'd rather not find out than have that happen.
Right, and I'm guessing there's probably like different strands and different kinds and things like that, and mutations and tons of stuff like that.
Well, you'd think so. I mean,
I wonder if I would imagine at some point, and whether it's jokey or not, that they get to a place, whether it's in the prison or wherever, where there's like someone that's like an expert on exactly how it all works. They like somebody that says these are the rules and this is what I've learned, and shot in the head,
well, that's kind of what I'm hoping will come up in the next few comic books, because I mean, without giving anything away, they've sort of settled in another place, and they've been contacted by people who claim to be part of an open trade network of survivors. So, and they've only just recently gone to suss it out. So, we'll hopefully see that someone knows something. There's got to be a scientist still alive somewhere who's been analyzing samples and knows something that someone else doesn't, I don't
know. Jenner seemed to, as far as TV shows, Jenner seemed to be extensively researching the whole thing, and he was just... And okay, so that last thing, the idea that he kept it a secret from everybody, do you think that was a smart move, or do you think that was selfish, or do you think it doesn't even matter?
Maybe he didn't realize that, it was that drastic until he finally killed Shane, That, I don't really see it as selfish. I don't really see it as really need to know information that, it would be handy for them to know.
So let me ask you this, though. The weird thing that I found weird, or the two cops that they find, and Shane and Rick find without bite marks that were zombies that they had to kill, you have to wonder, how did they die, right? How did they initially die?
Yeah.
You don't see, if they weren't...
They could have just starved, really.
You think so? That they just...
Yeah.
That they both starved? I don't... It just seemed really weird. Like, it'd be interesting if all those people in that school, maybe they were all like maybe they were all in that school like as survivors, and they all just kind of like ran out of food and they all starved to death, right? Or maybe they all like had a mass like suicide together, like gas or something.
Yeah, it could have been they poisoned themselves, or
then they all became zombies because they all died at the same time.
It's entirely possible.
Do you think things like that would ever be gone over, or not really? I don't know.
Maybe. I know there is something to do with suicide. Hopefully it'll come in season 3. Who knows? But
well, they explored it a little bit.
Yeah, they sort of explored a little bit with Herschel's daughter.
And with Andrea.
And with Andrea, yeah.
And then the people in the CDC. It was the black woman that lost her. She killed herself in there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I love how I don't remember everyone's name. There was a bunch of people in there. All right, well, have a nice night and day, or night.
Yeah, you too, man.
Enjoy your dinner. Maybe I'll go to sleep. And
right.
paying attention, The Walking Dead. It's a great show. You should check it out. And season 3 will start sometime, I guess, September or October. And the comic book. You could actually read the entire comic book online, too.
I think you can buy most of it digitally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I get my the new ones online. I think it's only a few bucks. So I'm sure all of it's on there.
Yeah.
I think it would be either at skybound.com, maybe thewalkingdead.com. Gotta check it out.
Skybound. All right, sweet. Let me just. I don't think there are any more comments. It was successful. I've been on the air since literally maybe I've been on the air now 4.5 hours. So I did my first show and then I did this show and then crazy. Show the map. No, I don't know what the map is. Carl got Otis, Dale, and Shane killed. Yeah, Carl's gotten a lot of. Well, not directly, but Carl's gotten a lot of people. Carl and Lori are responsible for a lot of deaths, and that's I don't know. It's so funny, right? Carl is. Oh. Does Rick knows about the walk, right? Did Shane told Rick that Carl was out playing with the walker, right? So that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
And the kid that plays Carl is kind of annoying a little bit. Some of his acting, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just there's not much, but maybe that's what he's supposed to be playing. I don't know. All right, peace.
Later.
Thank you, everybody.